In this episode, Simon and I talk about how there are no coincidences, how you may run into or see a person a lot, and it's always like, how do I see this person at random times of the day? Like, I could come to the gym at 9 a.m., and now they're here at 12 p.m. when I decide to come at a different time. So, we talked about both of those along with a host of other topics. I hope you guys enjoyed the 3 hour conversation that we had. I genuinely enjoyed recording it and talking with Simon for the time that we did, and look forward to doing more episodes with him in the future.
Search for videos about podcasts and about how to set up podcasts. I get also obviously also ads for podcasts and podcast host websites. Obviously, I had the question before we start, or as we start. I googled how to make a podcast on Spotify, so how to upload it, and she said in this one YouTube video that you can't upload it like this, but you need a hosting platform, and then they like share it on different sites.
Yeah, so I mean, the hosting platform that I've used was Podcaster. It used to be formerly owned by Anchor, and that's where I upload it, and it downloads each and every single episode automatically. So like it'll post onto like podcast, like on a Spotify podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and a handful of other ones too. It goes to 7 platforms totally. So that's what I've been using to host the podcast. It seems like it does well. It goes to Apple Music, Castbox, which I don't even know what that one is, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Pocket Cast, and then Radio Public along with Spotify. Which is the nice part about it too, is you can upload like the audio and the video aspect to it. So it kind of almost creates more of like a personal one-on-one relationship with people. Like I've been doing that for my hosting my podcast and the podcasts like you and I do. So it's just like that's how I've been using it. And then I also create another YouTube channel as well too, where I've uploaded all my podcasts there too. So if some people want to watch it on YouTube, they can watch it on YouTube. If they want to watch it on Spotify or something like that, they can watch it there. But I was always curious too and wondered what it meant by like a podcast hosting website. And then when I found Anchor and it just automatically posted it to like the main ones where people listen to podcasts, I was like, that works for me. And a girl I was talking with too the other day, she uses that as well too to post all of her podcasts to Spotify. And she seems to be doing fairly well with that. So if you would do that, I'd say do Podcaster. It's free. And they'll pay you right away too. Like you don't even have to have monthly listeners to be able to get money off of it, which is a nice little benefit. And it just goes to like all the 7 platforms. So it's pretty cool.
That you have multiple YouTube accounts is also cool, because I thought about it. This is also one of the topics that I wrote down about how to promote your videos. And the topic how to promote your videos is about that people like, for example, Andrew Tate and people in this bubble, they got a lot of fame really quick because they got a certain scheme, like a certain system, how they promote their stuff by having like their fans, if they take the content and then re-upload the content, then they get money out of it, like from affiliate links. But what it's basically have done is that you have like 100 of fan pages or related pages like if you just Google mindset mastery or mindset something, you get like 10 or 100 different channels like that, and they most of them just upload clips of podcasts of other people like Andrew Tate and all of them. So they get infinite amount of like promotion because they have hundreds of like this both sides of their fans. And I thought this is interesting because you can also like hire editors who then take your 1 hour of podcast, for example, and then re-upload it in all different channels. Like you have then 3 or 10 different channels, and then you promote yourself like on TikTok and Instagram on many different channels. So this was also one idea to promote stuff, to just like I said, how to just to send a lot of different stuff into the world from your shorts, because you have like 3 hours.
Exactly. Like, and I think when Andrew Tate was all big, I haven't seen him as much lately, but he never said he never had a TikTok page himself. It was everybody else creating TikTok pages for him and then promoting them that way. So it's just like, if you have enough content or you're interesting enough or you're providing enough value or speaking in different ways, it's like everybody's just going to post it for you. You don't even have to worry about it. And then all the affiliates, like everybody's doing the selling for you at that point in time, which I feel like it's just almost a smarter business plan if you can do it in the right way compared to having to reach out and sell everybody individually. So it's something that I've considered and I think it would be valuable. And I don't have multiple YouTube channels because of that. It was more, I wanted to try different niches.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to try like nature niches. I want to try anime niches. I want to try self-development. Like kind of. So like I've played a decent amount of video games. You play video games as well too. So it's just like there's like ranked and and unranked.
Yeah,
And I was kind
yeah,
of playing like unranked with those other channels, whereas I was just being like the noob. I was like, I don't want to put myself in the ranked because I have more to lose if I start doing that and like using my name
yeah.
type of thing. So I was finally like, you know what, I'm done playing with the plebs. I'm done playing unranked. Like let's go play some like ranked, like let's go out there and actually see what we can do. So that's why like the main channel is like just my name, and then the Mindset Mastery is where I host like the long form podcast stuff. Just so I have two separate ones, because I figured if I was posting all those, like I know there's Chris Williamson, I'm pretty sure is his name, where he does lots of long forms, and also Lex Friedman, I believe he also has like long form, and he has like other videos of him rolling. But I just figured it'd be easier if I could just do like have one channel strictly for podcasting the long form episodes, and then one channel strictly for like short form, like just my day to day like vlogs type of thing. Because
Yeah.
I heard something about Mr. Beast talking about that too when he was interviewing Graham Stephan, and I think he was telling him it's just like for the iced coffee hour, he was telling him to have like a channel strictly for that,
Yeah.
and then a channel strictly for his like real estate like investing content to keep them separate to help out with the algorithm. I don't know how much that actually works, because then there's Sam Sunik now, where he just does like long form videos, and there's like no fancy edits or anything like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really one right way to do it other than just doing it the way that we feel is right for ourselves type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I feel it. I also had the idea in the beginning, like starting a channel for this, for this, for this. I also thought about, because I want to do this kind of content, like you said, vlogs, and about also like challenges, like challenges like I try to do this or I try to do that, but also like head talk videos where you explain things that is more about like university, where you explain, where you have more presentations. So I also thought first to do a lot of different channels, but then I thought instead just for the first trying to try the things out and to see what sticks, what I like more. Because, for example, I didn't thought actually that I would like to do podcasts, because I never thought of podcasts. And now after the last episode that we did together, I find it way better, because I realized in the editing process that it's way more fun to edit it, because I realized there are way more scenes that I can use for shorts or for short clips, where I thought, because last time we didn't have cameras, I thought to myself, man, this is so cool. You can do this and do this. And then I recorded my first episode of my Let's Play podcast, where I play a game and use the theme of the game as topics for about what to talk. So it's not about the game, so more about the theme of the game. Um, and there I also realized how many cool topics there are, where I talk about things and I have like this 3 hours of recording, and then I have from this 3 hours like a bunch of cool clips that I can reuse on TikTok, on Instagram, or as YouTube Shorts, or as YouTube videos like 10 minutes. And I thought to myself, that's way cooler, because it's way more authentic. What we talked in the last episode, that it's way more authentic in the way how you speak, how you present it, that you don't have a script, but you, even if you have just a podcast with yourself, you still, what we described last time, you still have this naturally development of you starting somewhere and it's naturally evolving to somewhere. And it's funny because then you don't need to think of as a transition to the next topic, because it's automatically you just talking did, and then you have a story, and then did, and then, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. It bounces off one another. Where like if you just have a script or you just have a structure, it's just like you
Yeah.
want to try. Like I'd always try to like, okay, I need to say this, I need to say this, I need to do this, I need to do this. Or like when there's just a conversation, and this is what I do in my everyday life as well too. So I was just like, if I have conversations like this with people every day, there's probably other people online and in other places too that also have conversations like this. So I genuinely do believe that there's more authenticity doing things like this compared to just like talking directly to the camera. I've done it. I think it's worth it. But it's just like having that back and forth and that feedback to see like, okay, this is where I can improve. This is other things that I need to do. I think it just helps a lot. And like I
Yeah.
want to eventually get to the place to where like I can be in a part of one of your Let's Plays videos where you are like playing the video game or we're playing like a video game together or something
Yeah.
like that, because I've always liked that type of content. Like it's always interested me
Yeah.
like massively. I had to give up video games for the longest time because it was just a big distraction. Like I'd spend like 8 to 16 hours a day playing video games, like wake up, go to sleep. And like,
Yeah.
that's all I would do some days. And I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So I had to give those up. And I'm worried that if I start playing them again, I'll go down this rabbit hole and then it'll just be a whole disaster. So I'm like, let's get this squared away first. Let me have at least one source of income that's coming in. And
Yeah.
then as I have that, then I can start to like branch off and do like buy a gaming PC and do like more
Yeah.
streaming content, which I think would be super fun. It's just I feel like as entrepreneurs, as like doing our own businesses, we have to start from like the ground zero and like work our way up and like sacrifice certain things, say no to certain things and yes to other things. But yeah, it's just like having this authentic conversation with wherever it goes. It's like if we were doing a script, like who knows if we would have even talked about something like this, like in having
We
that
would
back
have
and
to
forth.
all the time this oh no, again and again, and this cut and again, cut and again. I have this all the time if I record scripts. Then I have this one sentence and then a cut, and you have like three cuts. And this is what I mean in the editing process. What this is what I meant with trying different things out, what you like. Maybe it's more challenges type of videos, or head talk videos, or gameplay videos, or podcast videos. Because I realize in the edit, what frustrates me if I have a cut and edit video, as where I have a scripted video, is that in the editing process, I have like 10 different cuts, like where I just say the same sentence. And the cutting edit is this A roll cut is just me looking, okay, this is the first cut is nice, and the third cut is nice of me saying the sentence. Because sometimes I say it like this, but sometimes I do a different voice, and sometimes I do different gestures. But it's frustrating to cut it. Then, for example, it's more fun for me to cut the podcast. This is why I right now try different things out and to see what kind of content do I want to do. Because the content you do, where you go on the street and you ask people, this is the content I would like to do, but I want to do it with as a first here says in your videos it looks like very warm, that you have a warm season right now. Here it's as cold, and for that I need people who are with me and filming me. So when we filming people, but I then thought a couple days ago, as I reflected, I can still do what I would rather do, because in the podcast type we're already doing like head talk videos kinda, because we're talking about those topics. So I don't need to extra writing a script about those topics. I can just talk about them here and then upload them as YouTube video. Instead, I can then more focus on challenges that I can do already. Like I tried to run a marathon without preparation, or I tried lucid dreaming for 30 days, or I did these challenges types or these experimental types of videos that I would rather do. And the all of this head talk aspect where I explain things, this is what I can do in the podcast, and then take clips out of it and then as YouTube videos.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to do it. Plus, this way it's more genuine. You get to talk about
Yeah,
things that you already know. Like you aren't having to like I like you don't have to like structure your words or structure your sentences in a certain way to be like, okay, this is the exact thing that I need to say. And then you read it 10 times, and after you listen to it 10 times, it's like it just doesn't sound like English anymore. I'm like, dude, this is
yeah,
rough. So that's why I like doing these things. And like I always thought I needed to have a cameraman as well too for doing like the interviews on the street. Which like if you I think you watched the first video of me like interviewing the strangers and asking them for their screen time. So like my sister, she came with me and she ended up like filming me after a while, but I had to warm her up. So I was like doing all the filming myself. Like I was asking the questions, holding the GoPro here. I was like, hey, do you guys want to be in a video? Like, yeah, that's cool. Because I always thought I needed to have a cameraman as well too.
yeah,
And then I just was like, well, if nobody's gonna help me, I'll just go do it by myself. Because there's this guy, Peter Santillo, I believe is what his name is. And all he does is he just goes around with a GoPro. He just walks around, goes into like Jewish ministries. He was in a Chicago once as well too, and like was talking with people in the hood. And all he has is the GoPro by himself. He has like 3 million subs or something like that right now. So I'm like, the camera equipment and having somebody else there is not 100% necessary if you know the story that you're wanting to take. I did, however, end up stumbling upon a cameraman at campus when I went back to film another day,
yeah. What
and then
describe?
I was just
That's
like,
insane.
hey, do you want to be a part of this video? He was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. We just started talking. He's like, no, but he's like, do you need somebody to film for you? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay, I got you. I was like, dude, what, really? So like him and I, we've been filming the past couple of weeks. One of his friends also came along too because he's like, what I have to share, he thinks that
Yeah,
it's valuable. So I'm like, I'm gonna help them kind of get out of their comfort zone and kind of warm up to people and kind of approach them in the ways that I do, which I never really considered that a skill for the longest time. But it's fascinating to see how things just kind of work out, like we were talking about last time. It's like the how just kind of takes care of itself. I knew that I
yeah,
needed a videographer, and then somehow I just magically find one just sitting on a bench one day, and I was like, what is going on right now? But I absolutely
yeah,
love seeing things like that. But it's just like the odds of that happening, I used to think were astronomical, and I've started to realize they aren't as crazier out there as they once were, but this authentic conversation, because like when I did do video editing before in the past too, it was tough, dude, because I'd have to listen to the same thing over and
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
over and over again. I'm just like, bro, I can't do I can't do this. So
yeah.
that's why it's tough.
For me also, it was sometimes when I cut, especially for 4 hours. I'm like after like 4 hours, I'm like I need a break from it. But with the if I have a whole podcast that what else I really liked is that when I have like this 3 hours or like this 1 hour or 2 hours of me recording a podcast and then rewatching it to see where the cool clips, I already have, I again have to rewatch it, you know? So I have to get again through the topics so I can. First, I get the same affirmations again because it's great topics, it's great input, so I reaffirm it in my brain. And secondly, I get the sentences, how you talk, how you speak, and you can already see, okay, I can improve this, without even consciously thinking about it. You just, by hearing yourself, your subconscious mind already takes the information, converts them, synchronizes them, and the next time like this, it's already more smooth, it's more natural, and then it evolves naturally more and more. And the cool thing is what I always described, if you do great content, you have a bigger positive impact on yourself because you have to edit these videos and you have to rewatch those videos. And if you have a video that is about negative things, about blaming people, about exposing people, about the world is about to die and separation and negative there, then you affirm it all day long by cutting those videos, by writing the script, by recording them, editing them, rewatching them. But if you have great videos with great content, with great value, then you affirming it for all day long by rewatching it and re-editing it.
Yeah, it's funny how because like people's dude, I've dated girls in the past and like seen other people's news feeds or like TikTok feeds, and I'm like, it's some negative stuff. I'm like, you're allowing this to go into your subconscious mind,
Yeah,
and I'm starting to understand why you think the ways that you do. Because content does shape us, and the more that you listen to like the positive, like the business, like the spiritual, any sort of content that's like good for you is kind of just what's gonna sit back into your mind. And that's why like I just like having the conversations because most of the time it does like sink in. And when I was doing sales too, like I would go back and I listen to my audio recordings. And when I
yeah,
started doing editing before this too, like I would also re-listen to my videos to see like, okay, this is what's working. This isn't what's working. This is where I need to improve. And dude, I overanalyzed myself probably more than anybody ever should. But it's like it helped me get to the place to where I was
yeah,
at. So I was like, I think it was worth it. Like most people are afraid to listen to their own voice, I've come to realize, and they don't want to see
yeah,
themselves on camera. But like
yeah,
that's where you can analyze and be like, okay, I shouldn't have said this. I'm blinking too much here. Haven't took a breath or something like that, which I still struggle with that a little bit. But it's just like there's certain aspects that you just kind of see when you do rewatch yourself back on the video. Because after you said that, I was curious, did you ever spend time like editing videos of yourself talking prior to starting to do YouTube just until recently? Or is this the first time that you've like physically watched yourself go back and
The
like listen
the
to these
first
again?
I always wanted to become a filmmaker, so the first time was I think I was 18. The clip is even on YouTube. It can be found. This was my first thing that I ever made with my camera, and it was a competition for a guitar. So guitar, it was some guitar channel about learning guitar, and he's made a competition that you can make a video about you learning playing guitar and why you started playing guitar, and explaining it. And it's not about how good you play, but more about your story. And the winner wins a prize, I think, of like $100 or something was that. So, and the first video that I ever made was for this contest, and you can find it actually on YouTube. And it's really shitty quality, and it's in every aspect really shitty. But it's you already see, and this is what it's great if you see in the ideas that you have of the transitions of the zooms. We can actually watch it afterwards. You can see how the idea was already formed, but the execution was just bad. And this is what I also then, as I then started the YouTube channel this year and did my first video, I also saw the same thing. Like I had the idea, but I had limited equipment and limited knowledge of how to execute the idea. And then I executed the idea, and it was like, I don't know, 2% of what I thought it would be. And then I was obviously disappointed, but I thought to myself, okay, it's just the execution, but the idea is still great. So the content is great, but it's just the execution, but you see already the where it's going. So take this with even bigger, better equipment, also greater knowledge and greater understanding of the craft. And then you have the same, but with a great execution, and you have 80% like you imagine it. And this is what I love about executive production, and why I always wanted to be like in this film industry about executive production, is that it's all about executing an idea, because having the idea is already a hard thing. And a lot of people have great ideas, but those people who have great ideas have often the struggles to then execute the ideas. So they able to conceive the idea, but then don't have enough belief or not enough knowledge to then actually execute the idea. Whatever it's a movie, music, a podcast, or whatever it is, maybe a business idea, everything that is about execution, and this execution is way harder than most people think, because it's way more just take the setup, for example, this lightning, a lot of those things you don't think of them consciously if you start those things, and you have to learn them step by step. I had, for example, I have a green screen here on the other side of the room, and a friend of mine, he was here because for his new business he wanted to do some clips for Instagram, and we did some clips on the green screen, and then I saw that on the hair you still see the green, and it's called green ink spill. It means that the lightning, because you have nice lightning, but you need light from above. So you need like it's in German it's called a Spitze. So it means you need light, not behind light. We also tried that, but you need from above light. It goes like this, and this is where the light is then splitting your head, and this green ink split then it's gone. And then you have to build like this stuff if you don't have the equipment, but I luckily have the equipment here. Then you have to build it, and then you get it. So to make a video in front of the green screen is the one thing, but making a professional video with no green ink spill, with no flickering, this is another level. This is the pro level. This is the where you need more understanding of the craft and more knowledge and skills to execute the idea.
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
why when I was doing, because what I used the green screens for a videos project that I worked on when I was doing government work for video editing, and there was always the green spill, like you could see it around the hair, like there's always like just a little bit around them,
No.
and I never considered having a top light, so that's just
Yeah, me too.
and
Yeah, me
I
also.
wonder, like that's crazy that it was such a simple solution. I've seen other like platforms though where it's like AI is almost like, I wonder if AI would, if you just have an AI background instead, because I think we've talked about that before too, where it's just like
Yeah, it's
it just
possible.
does
Yeah.
everything for you, and then you don't have to worry
If
about the green spillage or anything like that.
Yeah, it's also, for example, the way how you, for example, right now sitting, you could also just like green screen it like this. This would also be
Hmm.
possible. You can just take it and it would also cut you out. And this would be awesome. You see it a lot in Joe Rogan clips, for example, if they don't have a green screen, but they still cut it out. So in the background is something. And this is what I think, I don't know. This is what I described in my first episode of the Let's Play podcast, that I'm really grateful for the equipment, but more of all, I'm really grateful for me and my younger self to having the courage to actually do this. And every time people looking back on their old stuff, like the old music, they're often ashamed of it. But I always tell them it's the fact that you have the courage to start it, that you had the idea, and then to execute the idea, then to see the idea, because starting the idea is already the courage to be disliked, that people don't like it. Then to execute the idea, then with your limited equipment and your limited skills, see the shitty results and still publish the results, or still like get to the public with it, shows your courage and your self-belief in the process. And this is already great. This is why I always tell that people, I always admire people, and I always respect people who put in the work. So people who are always putting the work, I always respect that. And no matter if, for example, if your old videos are cringe, because this is part of the process, but it's evolving and evolving, that you have already the courage to do it. It's already more than most people who had the idea, but they're like, oh, I don't like to hear my voice. I don't like to see my face on the screen, so I don't want to do it. Now people are like, I also don't like my voice, so I improve my voice. I don't like to see myself, so I improve it.
Exactly. Yeah, dude, like I was showing this video because one of my first YouTube videos that I posted was me reviewing a speaker from one of my roommates that him and I, we just kind of butted heads. So like I just But like me watching that video back, I was just like, this is so cringe. So I was like, this is just terrible. But it was just like, I had to do that video to be able to be at this place right here.
Yeah.
Because like I had made videos too when I was a kid beforehand, but I never posted them like on YouTube or anything like that. I want to try and find them because I remember this. We had to do like this cool project and create a video, and like it was like my sister said like Barbie dolls, and like we created like a tsunami or something like that. I hope I can find it. It's still around, but it's just like having the courage and the clarity to post that first video, just get that first content out there.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying, but it's just like it's part of the process because like as each video goes, like we start to improve. Like with the first video that I did around screen time, like when I was rewatching that video back, dude, like I wanted to bang my head against the wall because I was like doing all this nervous laughter when I was asking people. I was like, the fuck, like what am I doing? I'm like, this is just garbage. So but I was like, I posted that video, it did well, and then I went out and I did the next video. I was like, okay, let's improve upon those areas that I did poorly on the first video. And that's I think how everything works is like as long as we just take small incremental steps each and every single day and make small little improvements with each video that we do, eventually they're going to be doing a lot better. If you don't take the time to review the video and be like, or watch us back or have the
Yeah.
conversation or whatever it may be, it's like, well, where's the growth? It's just going to stay the same as it always has been.
I think also this what you mean this evaluating how to quote this.
Evolving, like, or
Not not if you're rewatching your video, if you're making an analysis, evaluating.
evaluating.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you
evaluating.
evaluate the video.
Yeah, you evaluate the video. This is important because you then get conscious what you mean in the beginning of you getting for example in this first video that I did for this competition, I think I had my hands like this, and I talk to the camera like this, and I'm doing with my, I swear to God, in the moment before I saw the video, I thought to myself, my hands are clear, I do nothing with my hands. Then I saw the video and I'm seeing in the clip, I'm like all the time like this, and I'm like, hey, I didn't do that, but I see it in the clip, so I wasn't consciously aware of it. A lot of people, like you said, with the blink and a lot of different other things, they're not consciously aware of it. But once you see it on camera and you evaluate what you're doing and you're seeing it in the voice, then you're seeing it, and you're seeing it like now you're consciously aware of it, and now you don't do it or you improve it conscious because you're now consciously aware of it. Because before that, you didn't even know that it was there. Like for me, I swear, before I saw the video, I had if someone had asked me what you did with your hands, I would say I just recorded the video and my hands were all the time like this, relaxed. And then I saw the video and they're like this all the time. And I'm like, hey, I didn't remember to doing this.
Yeah, some people have different like, and because some people talk more with their hands. Like sometimes, like I'll talk with more with my hands, but then there's other people
No.
where it's like they'll always cross their arms or like they'll always do like whatever. Like
Yeah.
they'll do something with their hands, but you don't know it until you have that awareness. Once you're aware of it, then it becomes a whole lot easier to change it. Like I was saying this word essentially at the end of every single sentence that I had for a while, and I had to become consciously aware. I'm like, okay, I need to stop saying essentially or any words with ly. And once I become aware of it, then it's like, okay, I take those words out of my vocabulary. But up until that point, it's second nature. You don't think that is a problem. And it was funny. There was this show back when I was a kid called That's So Raven, and she'd always be like, she'd always say, "Oh snap" or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. Like she was able to see like into the future to see what was happening, and I would say the same words that she was saying. It was a show on Disney Channel, and I would say those same words all the time. And then I got to the point where I was like, I need to stop saying this, and I became aware of it, and I was just like, it just completely
Yeah.
removed out of my reality. And I think having that clarity, having that awareness, and realizing like, okay, I don't like how my hands are moving this much, or I don't like how I'm speaking or whatever it may be, and then making the small little adjustments. It's going to take time, as anything does. It's just, are you willing to put in that time and willing to improve? I've always been able to. It sounds like you have always been able to. I don't know if people listening have ever always wanted to be able to, but that's just kind of how I look at it. I'm just like, what are you going to do if you want to improve? Like how, if you want to get better at sales, you want to get better at videos, like you got to
Yeah.
I've always put myself in uncomfortable situations. And then I just make the small little adjustments by using like NLP tactics late at night or using CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy, where it's just like I reprogram my mind at night and I replay the scenarios in my head with how they wanted to replay, so that then when they do come up again, reflects it in a different way. And having that sense of clarity, I think, has helped a lot. I still don't know the exact person that I'm talking to. Like, I mean, I know that I'm talking with you, but like my mass audience, I still don't
Yeah.
know the exact niche for my videos because it's just like it's me. How do you build a niche off of a personal brand? And like, what is a personal brand to begin with, too? So it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, it's interesting. Personal brand is also, I always say it's your audience is a reflection of yourself because it's again quantum physics, the outer world is a reflection of yourself. But also about quantum physics, what I just thought as you described it, it's fascinating because in quantum physics, this is called the quantum observer, and it's a principle describing that at the moment, I think probably you know this with the that the moment someone is observing the electrons, they're behaving differently, and because we are all made of electrons, we act differently if someone is. So if you have a conversation one to one, it's different than if a third person would watch so now the dynamic changes. Now it's a group, and so it's a group consciousness, a collective consciousness. And if you're alone, it's something different. For example, if you're alone, you're confident and you have a certain level of consciousness. It's, I think, from Hawking, he made this level of consciousness scale. And if you alone, then you have, let's say, this have a higher level of consciousness. So really high, you're conscious of yourself, what you're doing. Then you get into a conversation like on the street in an uncomfortable situation. Now you're getting unconscious. So you drop, your level of consciousness drops, and now you're in ego survival emotions. Now you're in this red zone. I can send you later the picture. Now you're in this red zone. Now you're not conscious anymore. Now you starting unconscious behavior starts, like being nervous, like from Joe Navarro, this nervous behavior that you're not consciously aware because your level of consciousness drops. But the more and more you do it, like the more you go out and you talk to strangers, you get into those comfortable situations. You get comfortable in those situations, and you get comfortable in the uncomfortable situations. So within so the outer world, no matter in which uncomfortable situation, it gets less unconscious. That means now because you now experience, like right now, if you go, for example, tomorrow and do a video, if you start with this level of consciousness because you're alone, now you going into a conversation and it's again a little bit uncomfortable, but you don't get unconscious because you're already familiar with that feeling, you're already confident in that feeling, so you're still confident in yourself, in your own things and behavior. So you still stay conscious, you stay calm, and you may be a little bit nervous because it's the first person you're approaching, but you're already calmer than, like, for example, in the first video where you did it. So the interesting thing about this concept is that you have this quantum observer, like the person that you're talking to, and because this person is observing you, now you're starting to get nervous. A lot of people have this if, for example, if they talk and then someone is starting, let's record this, and then they start record, and now the person is the level of consciousness drops, and now they're like, now they're behaving like this because this is the unconscious behavior. Because now someone is observing. Now you have a new quantum observer, and then they, for example, on a date, it's often the way, or if you talk to strangers, if you go out of the situation, you again alone, your level of consciousness is again higher, then you think to yourself, why did I behave like this? I'm so stupid. Because in that moment you were unconscious. And this is the interesting thing. But like I said, the more you get out of there, out of your comfort zone, the more conscious and conscious you stay in those situations. And if you get into an uncomfortable situation, like if you talk with a really pretty girl that you're into, or with a complete stranger, or in some different situations, like on camera, on a podcast, you still stay conscious. And no matter what happens, your level of consciousness doesn't drop because you were so often in this situation that you already got familiar. So no matter if there's a new camera or 30 cameras or 20 people watching you, you're still confident because your level of consciousness is higher than the outer world, meaning that your inner world is stronger than your outer world, meaning that you're not reacting to the outer world, but you are still the creator, and your outer world is reacting to you. So no matter what in the outer world is happening, you still stay conscious. And this is with practice, because this is about what they describe in Stoicism, getting out of your comfort zone. And the more you do it, the more conscious you get, and you stay conscious. No matter what happens, and no matter what happens in your outer world, you stay conscious.
That's interesting because like I hadn't considered it that way. I looked at it more from like a psychological perspective, like psychology, because it's kind of like an exposure therapy. It's just like
Yeah.
you expose you don't ever become stronger, you just become braver. You don't become less afraid, you just become brave with the situation. Because it's always the first conversation that I have is always the hardest. But like as I do more conversations,
Yeah.
as I get warmed up, it's just like it's harder for me to stop. And the people that my friends that were filming with me the other day too, they're like, "You're really good at like getting people to feel comfortable being in front of a camera." And I never considered it was because I've just like I'm so conscious with it. I'm bringing them out of their unconscious and into their
Yes, yes,
reconscious
right,
because
right,
I'm
right.
not bringing like somebody else in. So that's fascinating, dude. I didn't even I had no idea that was even the case. I just
Yes.
figured I was just like I just know how to read people and just kind of like mellow them down type of thing.
I think it's one of the strengths. If you're also conscious, then you have this level of consciousness, and the people around you, they also get into that field. For example, Edgar Tolle describes in his work, and also in The Power of Now in his book, but also in his teachings, that a spiritual teacher, he can teach you spiritual teachings. So you have to find them within yourself, what we described last time, so that you have to find it within you. But what a spiritual teacher can do is, because he has a higher level of consciousness, while spending time with him, you become more conscious, because this is your level of consciousness, this is his level of consciousness, and just by chilling with him, by being around him, you always also become more conscious by just observing that energy and how he's behaving, because he's calm. And for example, let's say you are with someone who is not has not a high level of consciousness, and something stressful happens in the city, like a lot of cars happening, and this person is reacting stressful, so the level of consciousness drops. And now some people also react with it, so they get all stressful, so people get stressful and they also get stressful. But if you're with a if I spill the teacher, for example, and something stressful in the outer world happens, but he remains calm, stay conscious, but you reacting stressful, but you're seeing him because you're with him, you're also getting calm, and you're getting, okay, I'm getting, and then you get calm. Because I have often the situation that we're in a stressful situation, and the person next to me is reacting stressful, but I'm not, because I'm staying conscious, and then the person also calms down because of me, because my level of consciousness is higher than the other person, and then the other person comes up. So you see it also in the party or in other situations, that if, especially in interviews, that the what you described, that you give the other person to relax, and because you are relaxed, the other person is also relaxed.
Yeah, it's more natural because I never thought about it that way because there's been multiple times like even a hike today like I went on a hike with a friend of mine and she's like, oh, we're so lost, we're all, and I was like, that's when you like that's the best place to be is like lost on a trail or something like
Yeah.
that. And I never really considered that it was because like my consciousness was more like here and I'm okay like getting lost, and because I always know that I'm going to come back to the house, and like she was able to raise back up because when we first met she was all stressed out and anxious and all parent, and I'm just like, what's there to worry about? Like it's
It's
we're
because
good, like we're chilled.
It's because you have a greater sight, because they describe it with this level of consciousness of just electricity in your body, so millivolts. So a stressful person, like the deepest level is, I think, fear and shame. This is like 20 millivolt. And the highest is enlightenment. This is like 700 millivolt. And most people are there somewhere between 100 millivolt. So if you have a higher millivolt, like you are in this scenario on the hiking, you're on 500 millivolt, you have a bigger, you're seeing more, not like with your eyes, but you with your mind. You're seeing, hey, it's not that hard. You can see it from this perspective, and this, you're seeing more of the world. You see from this perspective, and this perspective, and this perspective, and you have more trust. But the other person who is on a lower level of consciousness, they have less sight, so they don't see it. And you showing them, because you have more sight, you can see it more. This is why also, this is what Napoleon Hill describes, what we described last time, with if you can conceive it. Because to conceive it, you need to be on this as on this, have so much millivolt in your body to be on this frequency to even receive the idea. Because if you're under that, on this red area, then you're in ego survival emotion, so you can't conceive creative ideas, because your body is more focused, more blinded on survival and how we get out of the situation. So you don't see all the possibilities, you just see like this. But the higher you get on this level of consciousness, the higher you get your sight, you see more of possibilities. That's insane.
And I would like it's for me like it just kind of happened like naturally through grace, like through
Yeah,
just intuition. Like it doesn't. It's. I don't think there's a way to force that. Like I think most people do have the blinders on, and they always will have the blinders on. But like I think I first noticed it when I went on a walk one night. Like I ended up smoking a bowl, and I was like, I'm just gonna take a walk, no idea where I'm at. Ended up walking down one street, ended up taking another street. These people I ran into, they were like, "Are you selling? Like, what are you preaching? Like, are you trying to go to the gospel or something?" And I was like, "No, dude, I'm just out here." We started talking, shooting the shit for a little bit. They asked me if I want a beer. I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Like, just random people that I just met on the street. And then all of a sudden, like they started talking, and it almost seemed like one of my like dead friends was talking with me through the other person, which fascinated me quite a bit. And it's just there's like these weird, strange situations, and that was the first moment where I was like, "Huh." There's things that I didn't truly believe or truly understand was even possible until being in that
yeah,
experience. And I don't. I wish that there was a way, and I used to believe that there was a way to be able to help other people remove the blinders on the side. I just don't think that that's capable until like you do have somebody that is like up here, and then they just kind of like slowly come up to that next level with you possibly. I've yet to figure that out, or if there even is a way to do
yeah.
that.
I think it's on the one side, everyone has its own journey, so they have to overcome it from themselves and find it within themselves. And on the other side, you can teach them, but like I said, as a spiritual teacher, what Edgar Cole described, you can help them by just being on a higher level of consciousness and surrounding yourself with successful people. And in the beginning, if you're not successful at all and you have not a successful success via consciousness, but you're surrounding yourself constantly because you're working in sales with successful people who are already in there for 5 to 10 years, so they already have this success consciousness, then you're absorbing that energy all the time, so you get faster than if you wouldn't be in that circle. I, by the way, sent that picture to you of
Oh, perfect. Let
um,
me see.
by Air Hawkins, I think he's called, and he made this. It's beginning with contracted, and it's about, I think contracted ends with neutrality. Yeah, 250
Mhm.
millivolt. This is neutrality. If you're just neutral, everything above is this enlightenment, like willingness, acceptance, love, and everything under neutrality. So everything under 250 millivolt is ego survival, contracted state of being. So contracted is like this, and expanded is this. And most people on average they're in 100 millivolt all day long. So most people, if we would take, you can take this with from the physics and measure how much millivolt people have in their body for their skin. And most people have 100 millivolt. Enlightened people like monks have 700 millivolt. And they say athletes like Olympia athletes have something about 500 to 600 millivolt. And because the Olympia athletes, they're not really enlightened like a monk, but they're physically and mentally extremely focused. So they have this a Forza car kind of mentality that they're extremely sharp from their what they eat, how they live, how what they consume in their conscious mind. So these Olympia winners have also like a monk kind of, even if they're not spiritual or enlightened, they have this monk kind of body and mentality and mind. That's why they have also a really high millivolt in their body. So yeah, and the more you get out of your comfort zone, the higher your millivolt gets, and the more comfortable you get. And you see it when you talk to someone, if he's in a contracted state of being or in an expanded state of being.
And then there is a way to be able to help other people get into the more extended state of being and increase their frequency than it sounds like by helping them get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah, comfort zone challenges. Because back then I was all the time in this contracted state of being, of negative self-talk, of being unconscious all the time, and then I got out of my comfort zone more and more, and then I got conscious every time more and more. And this again, it's you start to talk with in front of the camera. You practice it maybe in front of the mirror a couple times. It's okay, cool. Then do it in front of the camera. And now you have the quantum observer, the camera recording you. Now you're getting unconscious. It's way better, also in a bad way. It's nothing that you practice it couple hours ago in the mirror. It's way less than that because now someone is observing. Now you have more nervousness about, oh, now a camera is rolling, is filming me. Now it's about getting comfortable with the camera, getting the camera as your friend, and getting too comfortable being in front of the camera. And now, with every time you're recording yourself, in audio and video, the more your level of consciousness increases and you get more and more comfortable in front of it.
Yeah, I've noticed that. That's why I do like I do a daily video vlog of myself every single day because it helps me get more comfortable with that. Because before it was just me talking in front of a mirror. But like
Yeah.
that's where I had to start. Like I feel like that's where everybody starts. And people may be like, oh, I don't talk to myself in front of the mirror. I'm like, yeah, you probably do. Like it's part of it. Like I don't know. It's different. But yeah, it is a comfort level. And I think sales helped me realize that too because we had to record every single one of our calls. And I would always be like, hey, this call is being recorded for training purposes or whatever it may be. And then it just jumped right into the conversation. Nobody asked any questions. Nobody ever had any problems with it. And that probably helped me be able to be like, well, everything's just going to be recorded regardless. So I'm like, if
Yeah.
this call is recorded, might as well just record everything else as well too. And then like have it be out there. Like it'll find the right audience. Maybe somebody will resonate with it. And then hopefully that can help them increase their level of consciousness, which would then increase their level of confidence, which in turn will hopefully help them be able to achieve more that they want in life or any goal that they've set out to achieve type of thing.
I think this is also what you just described with the audience of your personal brand. Because if you're, for example, spreading certain amount of knowledge and experience, and not everyone can align with that, because not everyone can conceive those ideas. Because other people who are more in a contracted state of being, they watch news all the time. They don't watch things like that. So this is not the audience that you try not reach, because those are not capable of conceiving the ideas that you try to send through your videos. But other people, they watch it and they have already these ideas. They're already on the way of expanding more and more, and then they watch your content and they're like, oh, that's so cool. And then now they can conceive the ideas that you try to send through the videos. And they conceive those ideas, and because of you, and because you're sending not just the message from the content, but also the energy, because this level of state of being, you're also sending through time and space, what I also described in my video. Because right now we are in the present and the viewer doesn't exist right now, so he is in the future. But in the moment the viewer is seeing this will be the past, so it will be already over. So it's a recording, like a message from the past into the future, you could say. Or for him, it's from a message from the past and into his present, watching this. So he can conceive the content from the past and the energy and this level of state of being. So just by your presence of how you behave, how you talk, how you communicate those ideas, you also sending this vibe of level of consciousness. And the people who are watching the content, they're not just getting the content idea. This is the logical, the masculine, but they also get the feeling of just about the calmness. This is the feminine energy, the emotional intelligence with our heart. They can feel it, like you're talking to the people, and they're getting your vibe, like the way how calm you are.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. Cause
Yeah, it's
yeah,
insane.
it, dude, like this is what I enjoy, like, because dude, like the wealth of knowledge that you have around this type of thing, like, it's just it blows me away because it's like it's things that I make like I've come to a similar conclusion, just not in the same like
Yeah.
detailed explanation that you are able to provide. So it's very, very helpful because yeah,
For,
it's fun. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it was also the same. As I started to read those books, I always had these ideas and I wrote them down. And I'm like, this is just ideas. And then I read them in books. I'm like, oh my God, someone else also had the idea. So, and they wrote a whole book about it. So I have to be right on this idea. But they have the same idea, but not just as an idea, but I have a whole book already written, already in full detail. So I can skip like 40 years of studying this by just reading this book and getting next level. And this is really insane by by reading this all kind of knowledge.
That's why I've never like books are. They're probably one of the best things that anybody could ever do. Like, if you want to learn something, like read a book or find somebody that's already experienced in said field. Like, I've always I don't know. The way that I've always done it is I've just always gone out and whenever I have questions about like it would be real estate or investing or stocks or some sort of way to like increase my money or wealth or whatever it may be or entrepreneurship. Like I would just go out into the world. Like I'd read books obviously like as a byproduct, but I'd also just go out and have conversations with people and I'd ask them like, "Hey, what are you doing that makes you successful?" It's how my mind works because certain questions and ideas may come up as we are communicating, I'm like, okay, this is something that I like to dig down deeper into, or like this is something that I
Yeah,
have another question. Maybe I'll ask somebody else about it a little bit later. And that's why I like just talking with people because everybody brings their own unique perspective to the world. And is why I've never really been like, everybody's like, do you ever feel lonely because you spend most of your time alone? I'm like, no, because I'm always surrounded by other people. Like, if I have other people, like, I can always just go out and I can go to the bar and I can start up a conversation. And like, I ran into this random dude at the bar and like, he kind of had like the same mindset that you and I do. And it's probably that
yeah,
frequencies that you're talking about where it's just like this direct reflection of ourselves from the
yeah,
external world. And like, he just sent me, he's like, hey, here's this course on marketing. I was like, dude, we didn't even talk about marketing. And he just sends it over to me. And I was trying to figure out how to find marketing. I'm like, okay, I'll take this. It's really fascinating because even like with what you're talking about, how like the viewer, like they aren't here right now, they're going to be there in the future.
yeah. They
Like
don't
we're
exist
here.
right now.
Exactly. Like, have you ever seen the movie called Arrival by any chance?
The with the Leonardo DiCaprio with the beer.
No,
And,
I think it's Jeremy Reiner is in it, the guy Hawkeye. It's with aliens that come from space and there's like a
I
giant
don't know.
ship. I'll send you a photo of it, but like
Okay.
great movie because it kind of goes into like your concept of time in a sense where it's like there's a quote that they just said. It's like there is no time, many become one. So it's like us recording this now, like when they're watching it, it is the present moment for them. Even
Yeah,
though
yeah.
for us watching it right now, it is like it's the present moment for us. So it's
Because
I love time.
Because on the quantum realm, it's already everything happening at once. There is no past and future, but it's all happening simultaneously. There's in the Flash. I didn't see the Flash movie, but there's one scene at the end where he's running at the scene where this is the scene that everyone makes laugh of because the CGI is so bad, and he's running at this one point, and everything around this starts to change, and this everything is in one moment, everything is happening in this one eternal moment, and it's expanding from this. So it's this is the interesting thing about this quantum time, space time.
Yeah, I never had issues with the Flash. Like I enjoyed the Flash. Like I mean, the CGI wasn't great, but I was just like the concept of how he does like his speed travel, and that's why the Flash has always been an interesting character for me because it is everything. Like he's just slowing down
Yeah,
the time. Like he's not speeding anything. He's just slowing everything else down to get, and everybody sees it as he's moving fast,
yeah.
and it's just like that's not how it actually. I don't think that's how it is. It's yeah, it's quite fascinating.
But what you said is, I find it important to underline again, is that you go out, you don't read to just like being a bookworm of sitting all day long in the library, but you go out and to make your own conclusion. And this is what Miyoto Musashi describes in the Book of Five Rings, that if you just sit at somewhere under a tree, you would came to all the ideas like Newton, like Da Vinci, like Buddha and Jesus. You would come to all of those conclusions by yourself, just by sitting under this tree and thinking for yourself, because it's all within yourself, and it's all in the same wave because it's the same source that you can tap into in the unified field. And this is the interesting thing about going out and doing your own experiences and thinking for yourself. That's why it's called Think and Grow Rich. The more you think, you get more and more of those ideas, and then you read more books to confirm what your ideas and to get deeper and to skip years of studying this. So you don't need to study, for example, the subconscious mind for the next 20 years. You can just read The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy or The Secret of Ages, and you skipping like 20 years of studying this. But you had already, before you read the book, an idea about the subconscious mind of your own studies. So what they describe is the best state of being. What you described is that you have this combination of I do my own studies and then I read other books and I watch podcasts and I study the lives of our people, the successful people, to get a confirmation for my own studies.
Exactly. Yeah. I I've never understood like you read a book and you don't test it. It's just like or you have a theory or an idea and you don't test it. Like
It's not
go test
practical.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like go test your hypothesis, be a scientist, like experiment,
Also to
figure out what
get the
works.
idea into yourself, because I know people I met, for example, this one guy, he had a whole library in his living room, and it was about, I think, 300 books about marketing, sales, and about personal development, like all the books about personal development. And he said I think he was like at the end of something in the beginning of 30. And he said that he spent the last 5 years just reading those books, but he can already tell that it was a time waste because most of them he can't even remember what it was because he never really practical applied them. And he said what he had should done is read one book or one chapter of this book and then go out and practice it and then read again and again. And this is why I liked Joe Navarro, FBI explains how to read people, because you can read literally one chapter, just the first one, and then go out and already practice it and go to the bar. Then you read the second chapter, and again, you practice it. And every time you're reading a new chapter, you can practice it. And this is how you should study the book. Maybe you can read it for the first time to get an overview, but this is how you should actually study a book by getting to more of chapters, like especially Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence. This is I read the book for I think 6 or 16 times, like not the whole book, but just chapters of it, like over and over again to get them into my head and to practice them over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah, it requires practice. Like there's a book, Getting More. It's about negotiation, and I read it first, and then I forgot aspects of it. So then I went back and I re-listened to the audiobook, and I re-brought in like framing and like how everybody values things differently. Like one person may value money, one person may value like fitness and health or relationships, and it's like having an understanding of how to frame the conversation in the way for the certain person that I'm talking with increases the likelihood of us continuing and either them buying from me, wanting to have more conversations, building a friendship. Like negotiation, sales, marketing is all like everything that we need. And if understanding that is super beneficial, there's some books where like I've read like Malcolm Gladwell's book, and I think every book that we read, like we get the points that we need to out of that book. Like the 10,000 hour rule, or like how immigrants typically that come, like first generation immigrants are typically the most successful in the family because they saw their parents working before them. So I think it is useful. Like read through the book. I've only ever really like reread a couple of books. Getting More was one of them, and then like I re-listened to like the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Yeah, Robert Greene. Like I re-listened to aspects of that as well too. But there's like I feel like the books come to us when they need to come to us, and we read the things that we need to read. So it's like if I got the concept that I think my mind needed to get at that time, then it's like, okay, I don't really need to reread this book. But then there are other times, like the one thing that book like taught me 4 hours. Like you have 4 hours of focused work, you can get more done in a single day than people that have scattered work for 8 to 16 hours throughout the day. Like if you just focus on one thing, like you're gonna be able to get more done than anybody else ever has. There's a couple of other books that I should reread and I could reread, like um how I raised myself from failure to success in selling, which that book was really good. But like I took the main concept, like it's just like you get referrals. Like as long as you have referrals, you can always have business and like you just have sales experience. So I think it's useful. And just even seeing the books, like the titles, I think is also incredibly useful too, because it's like, okay, how do I create an offer? How do I get more? How do I influence people? How do I become an outlier? How do I sell better? Like just having those overarching questions is super helpful. And yeah, it because our environment, I feel like shifts our reality or changes our reality. So if our environment's shit, then we're probably going to be like in a shitty situation. Where if our environment's good, we're probably going to have a much better like life, I would say. So I feel like setting up the environment, like that's why I had to move and get into my own place, because I could set up it in the way that I wanted to help my mind be more productive and get more things done.
Yeah, that's true. With this was a lot of topics that you. It's
I know.
interesting because no. I
So,
mean, if because what we described, that you can, that the conversation is evolving naturally, is that sometimes when you speak, then I see like the routes, we can go in this direction, in this direction, or in this direction, and depending on the next question asking, is going in this direction or in this direction. So it's funny, but there are a lot of different things I would like to outline, but the one thing that you said that I would like to go deeper in is the for our deep focus, because this was actually the topic that I wanted to start today. Because I was at the fitness, and I was there not primarily because I have a goal in fitness right now, but more because I'm just sitting all day long editing videos all day long. So like I wake up, edit videos, I go sleep, and this is great for productivity, like getting a lot of things done. But on the other side, it's not deep focused work. And what he described, I also noted myself. Um, the Brown Letters. In the Brown Letters, the book, he's also describing a lot that he's not really talking a lot about marketing and copywriting in that book, but he's mostly talking about how it's important to get in shape and to be like go jogging and to have a great diet and nurturing food because those those things you do outside of the work, outside of those 4 hours, you're preparing your body. And something similar, Alexander Schwartz describing in the chakra book about why it's so important to get your chakras enlightened, especially the first one, the root chakra, that your body has enough great air, water, food, and exercise, because then your body can better operate. And this is what they describe in those books, and I think in the book you mentioned also, that to have this 4 hour of deep focus Zen kind of work, you doing all the other 20 hours of the day you're spending on high quality sleep, high quality food, high quality fitness to prepare your body and prepare your subconscious mind to then perform in those 4 hours. And as I met on fitness, my old friend, coincidentally, we also talked about this concept that sometimes where I realize, okay, I'm cutting too much right now. I'm sitting too much on the laptop. I need a new perspective. I need a new space. Then I go out and do, for example, fitness. I go to the sauna or I do something else just to have a new mind to then go again into the work, but now with a new perspective to maybe have now less work. So instead of 8 hours, I now work 4 hours, but those 4 hours get me more focused and better results and quality results than in those 8 hours.
Exactly. That's why, like, when I start editing, I do my best to turn off all distractions. Like, I'll throw my phone
Yeah,
to the couch. I'll close out Discord. Like, I'll remove all distractions because every single time, like, say, like the Discord noise goes off, it's like, okay, let me check that, or I get an email notification, or I get a text, or whatever it is. It's just like my attention just it's brief, but it takes long for that attention to come back. So I just rather
yeah,
remove all distractions for that time, so it is truly 4 hours of focused work. And yeah, it's helped me in more ways. Like I would spend a lot of time editing as well too. And like once I start editing, because I might have some sort of ADHD, not 100% sure, because I can get hyper focused on certain aspects of certain things like
yeah,
building Legos or video editing. So it's one of those concepts where if I can just focus and as soon as I get started, like it's hard for me to stop. So like me getting up and being like, okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
go for a walk, or I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna go for a run, gonna go sit in the sauna, I'm gonna meditate for a little bit, whatever it may be, just to give me a fresh mind, so I can come back to the project. And kind of how we were saying at the beginning too, where it's like we listen to the same word or sentence
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over and
yeah,
over again, having that time where we can kind of like step back and be like, okay, like I have a fresh mind now. And it changes the whole perspective of the work that we were looking at. That's why sometimes I think it's better to like give a video a day or two or like a
yeah,
night, sleep on it, come back, re-review it, look at it, be like, okay, this is good, or I need to re-record this. So then the energy is back up to that higher level, so that then it can go out to the right audience, and then they can feel the
yeah,
same amount of like joy and fulfillment or peace, enlightenment that you felt when you were creating the video itself, compared to like, I'm frustrated at this. Like, this isn't what I wanted to say. And I think that's what happened with my last video. It just didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And I think that's why the views and the amount of people that were involved just it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and I rushed it, and I that's on me for doing something like that. But yeah, it came down to doing the 4 hours of focus work, and I did like how you noticed how I chose multiple different topics as well too,
yeah,
because I do that a lot of the time because I want to see what people latch onto. I want to understand like, okay, this is where like this is the thing that you might be interested in, so we
yeah,
can take the topic this way. Or if like you'd rather talk about this, we can take the topic that way. I just like giving people options and letting them choose, and then kind of we can go down the rabbit holes or whatever we want from there. It's been how I've been able to have
yeah.
conversations with the people that I do.
But I also like this and just get going where it's naturally evolving, and then to see where it feels best depending on the ground situation. But this is also important when you have like interviews with people, or if you have general discussions with people. For me, if people are open-minded, so the people are expanded. because this is maybe something little bit different topic, but sometimes I watch videos and I don't watch a lot of them. I maybe click and watch the first 2 minutes, and I'm seeing it. The people are complaining. The people are discussing as they arguing in a bad way, like arguing like and. So both of them, they don't have an expanded mindset. They don't really discussing, because a discussion is something great. If in theory, like if you, for example, you say something and I'm like, I don't agree with that. And then now we have a discussion. This is cool because it's an open discussion. My mind is open, your mind is open. So you have new information, and with this new information, with this new knowledge, you have now a new perspective. And you now, what we described last time, because you're not ego attached, you can let go of your old belief of the world and say, okay, now with this new knowledge, with this new perspective that you gave me, I have this new view of the world. So, but to have this, to conceive those ideas, this knowledge, and this new perspective, you have first to be on a level of consciousness where you expanded mind. And most people having discussions with an contracted with a most people have a contracted mind when they have discussion. So most people, when they have discussion, go into the discussion, both parties, with a contracted mind. So I have the truth, I have the truth. Now I gonna tell you what is the truth. Now I'm gonna tell you what is the truth. And now they arguing. Now they're getting personal. This is also where in relationships where they have conflicts that is not, but this was not the first conflict, but they then start to get personal because now they don't really open for new knowledge, but they just ego survival emotions of defense mechanism of now I'm right, now I'm right. And this is where you already, I can click into the video, I see the way how they talk for 2 minutes, I'm like, I'm clicking out, they don't gonna end somewhere because both have from the beginning not the right mindset to go into the discussion.
Yeah, when everybody's trying to be like, I'm the right one or you're the right one, it's like, this is the facts. And it's like, well, what if it's not? What
Yeah.
if what you're saying is right? And what if whatever I am saying is wrong? Like, I have no idea until we have that open discussion and like we question. It's like, okay, well, why does this work for you? It's like, okay, I can see that. Like, I could do the same thing. And I like having discussions like that more because I'm not like, I'm set in certain beliefs, but it's also like if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, like I found this and we
Yeah.
have a discussion around it, I'm I don't see why I couldn't change my mind around whatever they're talking about. It's just I've run into a lot of people where they are very stuck in their ways, and I think it's kind of like they don't want to grow, they don't want to evolve, they don't want to evaluate their past situations or circumstances, which is okay. I don't know, I don't get it. Like I'd rather grow, I'd rather try to change and evolve. And I wanted to ask you too, as you brought up the fact that you ran into one of your friends at the gym. Was that coincidental or like what
No, it was
exactly happened there?
completely coincidentally, right?
Just like just so
Yeah.
you hadn't seen him in, I'm guessing, X amount of years, and then you just
Yeah.
randomly showed up there, or what?
Yeah, of course. It's every time like this. Like people you coincidentally every time you meet them. This is what I described last time with the beauty of quantum physics, because once you understand that everything is on a subatomic level connected with each other, there can't be no coincidence because everything is connected. And like I also described in the last time, that every time people have some kind of self belief, self crisis or other things, then they coincidentally meet me in their life situations. And for him, always when he has a certain phase in his life, he coincidentally meet me, and we then coincidentally meet each other. Yeah, coincidentally
So
every time.
every single time. So let me ask you this then. So like it's funny, and I don't know if maybe you have a right way to. You might have more insight into this than I do. The past couple of days, like typically most people I feel like are very habitual creatures. So most people I feel like eat breakfast at the same time, they go to the gym at the same time, they work at the same time, they go on walks at the same time. When I say I'm seeing like the same girl at the gym, like sometimes in the morning, sometimes
Yeah,
in the evening, part of me like it's funny because this part of me is like, oh, this is when I'm like, okay, maybe we're just living in a simulation or something like that. Maybe
so,
that's just where we're at.
so yeah, I get it. Yeah,
But it's just like because like one of the girls that I ended up talking with today at the gym, she's like, yeah, I typically working out at the morning. And I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, oh, just change the schedule. And I was like, what is going on? And then another girl also, like, she also typically works out in the morning. And then I went into the evening and I'm like, I'm like, what are you doing here? Do you not work? She's like, no, just didn't want to go to work today. And I was like, okay, what's happening? And then I had another guy where like I was wondering about business and like I was like I needed to see him, and then he showed up at the gym and I was like, hey, I'm planning on starting my own business. He's like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, I really need to get his number, and then he shows up a couple days later. I'm like things like that. I wish I could understand them, and I don't think there ever will be. But it is those coincidental things of like, why am I seeing this person right now? Am I supposed to approach them? Am I supposed to say something, or do I just acknowledge them and be like, okay, this is just somebody that I see just constantly
Yeah,
everywhere now, type of thing.
that's also interesting because because you're seeing them obviously because there's a reflection of yourself in your world, so it's your own in your own matrix. This is also what we described in the last episode about that you we are all actors in another one's play, and every person comes coincidentally to the right time to teach us something. And what it is that you should do is always, and what the people are there to teach us. This is where what they describe, you have to learn by yourself. This is what no one can teach you. The spirit teacher can teach you because to tell you you should approach her or don't approach her, or is this person a negative side, as a bad omen or a good omen, or what is this, what that I should learn from this person. This is no one could can tell you this except yourself because it's your own reflection. So it's your own association with this. For example, some people they say for example, a raven is a bad sign, a bad omen. But other people, they see a raven as something positive, with intelligence, with wisdom. So if they see a raven, for them it's a good sign, a good omen. So it's different for the people, what they associate with it. So no one can tell this is a good omen or this is a bad omen because it's your omen for yourself. For other people, they don't even see the rave. They look in another direction. So you seeing it, and this is you what you associating with it. So this is interesting, but it's every time something um real. So it's nothing by coincidence. It's always to show you something from yourself, to teach you something, or to guide you in some direction, in some thoughts maybe that you're seeing someone, then you have thoughts of something, and then you go on. And then this person was there to give you this, conceive this idea. No, this idea came
Yeah,
from this person.
which it's one of the girls. She had like a dream catcher tattoo on her back, and
Yeah.
I was the thought that I had in my head. I was like, I'm not gonna let her steal my dream. Like that's not happening. And then like I ended up talking to her. I was like, I feel like I've seen you in here a couple times. She's like, yeah, I've seen you. And I was like, oh yeah, just like wondering how you got here. She's like, oh yeah, just came here. And I was like, okay, cool. Name, introduced myself. And then I just kind of left. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not letting her take my dreams. Like, I'd rather confront the thing that would be trying to steal the thing away from me than like just let it kind of simmer and sit there. Because even when I was out at, I was in New Hampshire and I was having dinner with some friends and everything like that, colleagues of mine. And I ended up going up to the bar afterwards. And I was sitting there just like drinking a beer by myself. And I was just for some odd reason, the thought popped in my head. I was like, every conversation, every word that we hear is just almost like it's our thought just being like externalized in a sense.
Yeah.
And then certain thoughts we might pick up on, just
Yes.
like we do within our own head. So I kind of looked at it from that perspective. But yeah, it's fascinating to see how that works and how it is just like a reflection and they're trying to teach us something. What do they want to teach us? Are they a good omen or are they a bad omen? And we're probably well, I wouldn't say probably. We're the ones that get to decide whether or not the raven is good or the raven is bad type of
Yeah,
thing.
what you associate with the raven, what your association with. For example, some people say black cats are a bad omen because they learned it that way. But if you go to the ancient Egypt, black cats were a good omen for holding bad spirits. So it's how you see it, how you perceive it. And what you said about that every thought is again this reflection in your outer world. It's fascinating because I also describe it in my studies in one of my quotes that you're seeing in the world what you see in yourself. So for example, a friend of mine, he started a new group that is about raising consciousness and awareness on the planet, but is on the principle a really cool thing. But sometimes if the members of the group talking to each other, I'm realizing they more focused on negative things. And some people would argue there are bad things in this world, but I always say there are difference between seeing that there are bad things in the world and focusing too much on them. Because if we both go into the restaurant, then we should both see the same things. right? Because we're in the same restaurant. But how can it be that the one person, like the other person, is only seeing the negative things on the restaurant? He's seeing the like the waiter, his
Ew.
shirt is not really his it's somewhere in the corner. There's the dust and the dirt, and I'm seeing the big fountain in the restaurant, and I'm seeing the great the exterior, the environment, and I hear the great music, and I'm like, man, that's such a cool restaurant. So we're both in the same restaurant, so we both shouldn't have the same experience, but we don't have. The one person, me, is seeing something completely different than the other person. And the same is with this group because we're both living in the same country. We are both living in the same city, so we shouldn't have the same opinion about the government, about how things work here. But the one person is deeply unhappy, and I'm deeply happy. I'm like, it's great, I have this. So how can it be? Because you seeing in the world what you see in yourself, and you see in other people what you see in yourself. And there's in this one seminar that I was in München, like in the south of Germany, really great seminar, one of the greatest that I ever went was. They also just explained a great practice it to become conscious of yourself is take the person you most hate in your world and name 10 positive things about this person, like about his confidence or like this, like objectively, because once you can do this with every person, no matter how you dislike this person, then you can detach from that, and then you see it from a different perspective, for a new perspective. And most people, like I said, they see in the world and they see in other people what they see in themselves. And I always see the great in people, and I always see the potential in people, and I always see the light in people because this is what I see myself. This is why I also see always the golden quantum reality, their perfect world, what they describe as the Eden consciousness, because I see it in myself, so I see it in them. And like I said, it's in the restaurant. We should see the same thing because we're in the same restaurant. We even see it, we have the same seat. But the one person is deeply unhappy and I'm happy. So how can it be? Because the internal world is different. So the view, the quantum observer is different.
Dude, like that's so spot on. Because I was in the car with my sister about a week ago or so, and we were driving downtown. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have one of those cars one day." She's like, "What? The one covered in bird shit?" I'm like, "No, the Porsche that just drove by." And I'm like, "We're both in the exact same
Yeah.
car, seeing the exact same thing." And I'm like, "What are you like? Where are you at right now?" And she's like, "Well, I guess I'm not wherever you are at." And it is funny because like we do see the things that we ourselves want to see. That's crazy, dude.
It's also with if you're in the gym and you're seeing that girl and the other person doesn't even see that girl. He's like, where? Oh, didn't I wasn't with them because they're in their own world. They also say in the I think it's psychology, like I think 1% of the world that also what we think, what we know, what the world is actually like less than 1%. This is what we conceive. So it's in Egypt really interesting, really heartbreaking, but it's really interesting. Like in Egypt, on every wall, no matter where you go, you have the quotes of the Quran and of wisdom. And even if you put on the radio, they all the time, 24/7, have the Quran, like the wisdom. And even 5 times per day, they have these big megaphones where they have even the wisdom shouting through the whole city. So you would think that someone living in that city should be a really enlightened and wise person because they have constantly everywhere. And this is the insane, really insane thing about the subconscious mind, is that the subconscious mind is able to just blend it all out. If you're not able to conceive it, you can literally hold someone a book in front of their face and they wouldn't see it. And this is what I described. You go into the restaurant and someone is complaining about the waiter that his shirt is not really right, and you're like to speaking to me, seeing that waiter, his shirt is not even right. What is that kind of restaurant? And they tell this is a 5-star restaurant. They have this kind of waiters, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I was so busy looking at this big mountain fountain, like in this big entry hall. Like, can you? And the person doesn't see it. His worldview is all around this waiter, and this is what they describe that we only. This is like a filter system that we have, and just 1% of what is actually in the world happening around us is coming into us. And depending on how your filter is programmed with which self-belief systems, this is what you see in the world. So you can be literally both in the same car, in the same room, and you see different things.
Which yeah, it's something that I've come to realize too. Like you could be listening to the exact same conversation. Like people that are listening to
Yeah.
this will probably walk away with one thing, and then other people will walk away with something completely different. Which
Yeah.
is it's incredible. Like something's probably going to drive home or resonate more with one person more than somebody else. And it's so strange how that works.
This is
Because I
also
don't
the
think there's.
yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead. I no no.
This is
All
what
you,
I
all you, man.
because you said this book that was in front of you, where you said you don't sometimes just read the cover of the book. This is what I have with a lot of books. I never read the books, but I read like one sentence from the book or just like one chapter, and this is the only thing that I needed from that book. So this is like the things that come to you, and that's what you said with the conversation. So someone reads this book and he got this information, and someone else just got this one information, but this what's the right information for him.
Exactly. And I think Neville Goddard, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with his work as well too. I
Yeah.
know Tibbo was, but like he talked about how it's just like when you start thinking about things, like you'll pick up a book or you'll pick up a phrase and it'll just be like the exact thing that you needed in that day. Like I keep occasionally I'll pick up this book I recently read it, The Road Less Traveled. Really good book. It was probably one of the best books that I've read in quite some time. But like I'll open the book just to like one page and just read one sentence, and I'm like, that was exactly what I needed to hear that day. Gets me maybe a little bit emotional or whatever it is, and then I
Yeah.
like continue on with my day. And I was like, what are the odds of me just deciding to pick that up, or like going into like some of my old journals that I wrote years ago and reading it and being like, okay, so that's why I stopped powerlifting was because I told myself like don't do more weight than I could physically do, and I was like if because I don't want to get injured and break my bones or whatever it is, so I can't lift any longer. It's so strange how we do only conceive such a small aspect of reality, and there's no real way to see the full like
Yeah, this
view
full
of
scale.
everything. Yeah, exactly.
Because
It's
this is
such
God, what they
vast.
describe, because they're all knowing, they're all seeing. And we as humans, this is also the fun of being a human, of the human experience, because you can perceive this 1%. And this is why they describe that everyone is important as Samadhi, that for example, the homeless person for God, also as metaphorically speaking, for God, it's equally fun to be a homeless person and to perceive life as a homeless person, and from this sadness and this adversity as being a millionaire in a yacht, of being a successful people with a success family, successful friends, and having achieved all of those goals. For God, as metaphorically speaking, it's both equally fun to experience this experience. And I don't know where I read it or where I saw it as a video were described in the beginning was just the light, and the light asked themselves, what can I be? And then from this they started the expansion of just what can I be and what can I experience. And the whole idea of being a human is to see world, like you said, this whole 100% for a lot of different 1%. 1% from there, from there, from there, because it's fun to look at the same thing from different perspectives. From someone who is a complete optimistic person, for someone who is completely pessimistic person, for someone who is this kind of person or this kind of person. And this is the fun of life to look at from these different perspectives. And the cool thing is you can change it. You're the creator of your life, and you can change it by reprogramming your mind. And this is what where affirmations come and the power of the subconscious comes. And by this is even biology. It's called the reticular activating system. This filter. It's called reticular activating system, and it's really truly a system. It's like a block that is programmed with your conscious beliefs about the world, and then it's filtering all the views, because like a laptop you have to you perceive 60,000 different impulses right now of lights, of colors, of tones, and your brain has to convert them some kind in some prioritize what comes first, what comes last. And this what comes first, what comes last, this is your how your articular activating system is programmed. And you can change it, because in the beginning, if you're a child, you can't control it, how it's programmed, in which household you grew up. But if you grow up, if you're older, you can now you can change it. Now you can control it, and now you can different impact it. And now, because you have changed your reticular activating system with different self-beliefs about the world, what is possible, what is right for you, who you are, now you're seeing that your brain starting to convert the information differently. And because it's converting the information differently, you're starting to perceive the same world differently. So you can be literally at the same place, at the same apartment, but in a complete different state of being. This is what Dr. Dispenza teaches in his books, that you go in these meditations and you learn transcendence. So what you mostly do in these meditations is you go out of this reality as consciousness, you go into another reality, like another quantum reality, in your golden where you're already the greatest person, and now you're coming back. You're still in the same body, you're in the same apartment, but your consciousness is differently. You're a different person. You're in the same body, but a different person. And now, because you're a different person, you're thinking differently, you're speaking differently, you're surrounding with different people, you're acting and you're feeling differently. Because now, because you're a new person, you stand up from the meditation, and now is where the behavior starts. Because now, because you're a new person, you start to act differently, to eat differently, to behave differently. This is what you do every time you transcend as a consciousness out, get a new perspective, and then come back. And the more you do this, the more you reprogram this reticular activating system, and your body biologically starts to change. So biologically, this reticular activating system starts to change, and biologically gets more and more and more, so that it's the standards, the base foundation, like on every daily life. So now, and then you have this, what we described in the beginning, this high level of consciousness that no one can get you out of there, because this is now your new worldview. In the beginning, it was lag, and this is the bad. That's why it's so hard to change. But when you change it, it's completely different. Now it's different, hard to change from that successful consciousness. Once you have the success consciousness as found foundation, as in your um, programmed in your subconscious mind and in your reticulating system, if you see all the time the world through a success consciousness, it's really hard to go back into a lack consciousness, because it's again, it would be to reprogram us like that. Like if you try to do something good, you have to you if you wanted to have a lack consciousness, then you wouldn't have to reprogram it, and it would be harder than just stay success consciousness. You know what I mean? So this is the new foundation, the new baseline. And now it's hard to not be successful because your thoughts are already programmed like this.
Exactly. And once your thoughts are programmed, it's hard. I mean, it's not, it is hard to remove a program that's already there, but it's like, why would you want to remove a program that's successful? Like,
Yeah,
that just
yeah,
doesn't,
exactly, exactly.
it's just like, let's remove all the programs that aren't successful that are causing these pop ups and like the successful programs to run smoothly. Like, let's remove all the negative programs. Let's remove the negative thoughts of seeing the t-shirt not being tucked in or whatever it may be. Like, let's get those out of our reality, get those out of our programming, and have a much more, I'd say, succinct programming. And there's been times too where like you're talking about like going to the transcendental and like this other like state. There's been times where I've gone into meditation, like when I was watching a movie or TV show or whatever it is, and I finish it, and I'm just like, where did I go? Like
Yeah.
I have to, like, I'd leave and I'm just like, I wasn't here just a second ago. I'm like, I was somewhere else entirely. And I try to remind myself like it's weird. It's happened a couple of times in just like normal silent meditation, but it typically happens more when like I would be watching movies and I'd just be sitting there and I just get back into the trance of whatever this reality, back in the house with my mom and everything. And then I was just like, where was I? Like I was part of this whole different ecosystem, this whole different world. And that's why
Yeah, yeah.
it's fascinating. There was this guy, Rupert Sapira, that I listened to a little while ago. He had quite a bit of meditations, and he'd always give like this reference of like Jane and John Smith, where it's like Jane is performing in the play, but John Smith is the person that's like who Jane is, but he thinks that he's John Smith. He explains it way better than I do, but it's just like understanding that it's like we're all like part of the collective consciousness, but we're all individuals in that, and being able to be like the millionaire with the mansion, but also being like the homeless man in
Yeah,
the gutter type of thing. We have to have both, and we are like all one and the same.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy,
Insane.
dude. Like it's
It's it's
crazy.
it's it's also insane if you go back into like old memories, because like I said, it's all happening at once in the eternal moment. So if you in the this is why a lot of PTSD people, also have PTSD or traumas, they're reliving it over and over. So they're still living in it, even if it's physically gone, it's still in their brain. It's still actively. We can do like 5 minute break, so I get in the toilet and to change the battery of my camera.
It works. Yeah,
The
that works for
Crackbot,
me.
I think, just gets like this.
Yeah, we
Also,
can. I mean, do you want me to
no,
pause
no,
the
it stays.
recording because otherwise we can just keep it
No,
recording.
no, just
I
keep
forgot
it.
to stop it last time too. So yeah, we'll
No,
come
no, that's
back in
perfect.
5. And so you were saying that this isn't like you're not. You rent out the place that you're filming in right now too, is what you're talking about, right?
That first I wanted to do. I travel sometimes, and I don't have
Hmm.
a fixed place to record. It's recording again, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't stop the recording, so we should be good, and then just cut out like 135 to probably 143-ish or so.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So I have not a fixed location where I'm always air are, so I don't have a like a viewer apartment or things like that where I can always record, so it's always changing. And the difference is the circumstances are different. So sometimes you have an apartment where you can film, but the sound there is not great, or the lighting
Yep.
is not great, things like that. And then I thought, friends of mine, they also did YouTube videos. They rented a garage for I think 1,500 euros, things something like that. It was a really really big garage, like immense big, and they have had even as a second floor an office to with computers and all what you need to work with. And I found it. I visited them one time and interviewed them, how they do this, how they work, and it was really cool how they got this setup of this like lab where they can really intensely work, where they have because they were engineers, so they like Tony Stark, they build stuff and then they film this stuff. So extremely cool. And even back then, I thought to do have things something as something like that. Then, as I had the idea to build a location where to can film, I also thought about renting a garage and then to building it. And I thought, okay, then I need like money and time to get furniture there. And it's not about like buying the furniture, but getting the furniture there and to building the furniture. It's also money to transporting. And then I thought to myself, it's again this principle of trying to do everything by yourself. Instead, just go out and look for people who want to collaborate, and maybe someone has a car and you can rent together a garage, or maybe someone has already a garage and then you can get into that. And then I looked for people who have a garage, asked them, but it didn't work, so I thought, okay, it isn't the right thing. Then I had the idea that a friend of mine a couple years ago, he had a music studio, and he shared the rent with three people. So they had a rent about 1,000 bucks, and they shared it for free. So he could use it obviously 2 to 3 times per week, and it was a really professional music studio with great, extremely great sound. And I thought to myself, I can also look for people who have a music studio and record there. So I reached out and looked for a lot of people who have a music studio, got contacted with them, and they were open to collaborate. And I'm like, okay, I have this opportunity, I have this opportunity. And then I had the idea, maybe there are even film studios, like photo studios or film studios. And then I looked for them, and then I found this place. And then I reached out to many different people, and then this guy who had this place, like it's a big film studio with different sets, like you have a here balcony with place to at terrace to chill, then you have a kitchen and things like that, then you have this what I call the streaming setup, and then you have the green screen setup, and you have a lot of professional lights, like 10 different lighting. And the funny thing, coincidentally, as I texted him, this was a time where they originally were five people in here. They should have shared the rent through five. But the other people moved away or got other jobs. Then coincidentally, the moment I wrote him, his girlfriend quitted, as they separated. So she also wasn't here. So he was alone, like here, but he don't use it that much. And then I coincidentally asked him, and he said, "Oh, yeah, you can get in, and you can use it as much as you want because right now it's just me and you having this place, and I don't using it as much as him because he's busy with work. So I have it most of the time for myself. So it's really cool. So, but it's again this principle of a mastermind alliance of trying instead trying to do everything by yourself. Instead, reach out for people who maybe have already what you want to do, and then to just collaborate with them. But it's way easier because I don't know if I can show this. It's funny to just show it because it's not that much of a word. It's just the like this is the light. Just I'm
Hmm.
using for myself, so to light myself. And it's insane because it's a professional light. It's a really big, like with a monitor that you have, and he has like 10 or 20 of them here, and with different like light setups, like where you can change the colors and things. Also, a lot of preferred equipment because he's working in film and because he's working in theater, and he's often getting the equipment for free. So you have all this equipment of multiple thousands of dollars, but you have in a professional film studio, and you just use it, for like nothing, also in money compared. And this is again, the right things come to you in the right time, but also instead of trying to do everything by yourself, go out and look and search, and you will find. Search for people, like-minded people, you will find like-minded people. Search for groups, like-minded groups, you will find like-minded groups. Search for opportunities, you will find opportunities, no matter it's a business or music or movies, everything.
Yeah, it's like the odds of you and I connecting on Discord. Like I just went on to the YouTube Creator Cafe and I was like, okay. I wasn't expecting much of it. I was just like, let's see what happens. I ended up connecting with the one of the other girls in the community too.
Yeah,
And then she connected me with you guys. And then it's like as soon as I saw the photo of like the Think and Grow Rich, I was like, okay, this guy gets it. He understands the mastermind principle. He understands the topics that he talks about, like Napoleon Hill talks about. And then when I heard one of the other guys talking about Neville Goddard, I was like, bro, this is like there's just no coincidence. It's like the
yeah,
whole movie of Kung Fu Panda was what came to mind when you were talking about. Oh, it's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. And I'm just like, I physically remember I'm like Oogway pointing at the panda, being like, that's the Dragon Warrior right there. And it's like there are no coincidences. It's funny how that works. It really is. I wish. Oh, it's so cool how it works too. How just magic, like doors just open magically as soon as you start to shift and change. Because if I tried doing this 4 or 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had this understanding that I
yeah.
have now. And like that's why, like I think the books that I read and the books that you read and like the conversations that we have, they come to us when they need to come to us. Because yeah, it's difficult in a certain regard. And I was wondering too, like, do you care that you don't have like a strict like living apartment that you live in? Because it sounds like you kind of bounce around from place to place. And I've always been
This is
somebody where
this
I
is
needed like a home.
Yeah, this is the story that I wanted to tell. And for me, it was I last time I told the story about I was on the hill, I worked in sales, and I took LSD for the first time alone, not with my friends. And I went to the hill upstairs. I got to the mountain, to the point of the mountain, and I got this enlightened experience, like in the Quran described, where you have all this light, where you have the where everything is just light, and you have it's so profound that you're reviewing your whole life and you're saying all that I knew that I thought the world is, I throw it away. This is nothing what I just saw. And the moment I saw it, it was so profound that I told myself that I'm for the rest of my life gonna study what I just saw to understand it. And this is where I started to get more and more into those teachings, more to focus on those things. And then after this is also where I started to study quantum physics, where I started to study the world and all of this. And this is also where I then sold my apartment because I wanted to a new perspective and I wanted to travel. And I got again coincidentally other stories who said, okay, you have to go to the island because there was an island called La Réunion, and it's there where Madagascar is. So there's Madagascar, La Réunion, and Mauritius. And Mauritius and Madagascar are both of Africa, but La Réunion is part of France. So if you have German citizenship, you can easily go to there because it's part of France. And this island found me, so I don't search for islands, but it's found me through a person. And then I knew, okay, this is where I have to go because the island is called La Réunion, because all the cultures, all the religions are living there in peace together. So there is no separation. They are all religions. You can find all the people there living peacefully together. And I thought, I'm studying this right now, all the religions, and this is the perfect place. And on my study, this is where I sold my apartment. This is where I sold everything that I got, and all that I had fit it in my bag. I had this bag with me, this yellow bag from Decathlon, and all that I had left was in that bag, and everything else I sold. And with the money, all that I had, I said, okay, this is the journey that I'm going, and I'm jumping into the unknown, and let's see what happens. So I didn't knew what I will find on the other side, but I trusted that there will something be because I had this calling, and I went to Paris firstly to study there all the different churches and cathedrals. So I visited all the churches and all the cathedrals there to study the teachings of Jesus, and this is already where I had this ups and downs, everyday ups and downs. Like I'm excited of my journey, but on the other side, you have so much self-doubt, so much fear, so much of the you're literally in a new place where you don't speak. Where you barely speak the language, where you don't have an understanding, you're completely on your own. No one is there to help you. Like you're completely thrown into the darkness. But always trust, always trust. Then I got to the island and everything get wrong. Also like everything that could go wrong went wrong. So the place that I thought I could stay couldn't stay. So I was like basically homeless and I needed now a place to stay. And every minute I thought of just quitting, like with the less money to just buy a ticket back home and just quit. But every time I thought to myself, and this whole journey and all the journeys that came after that, I always had this thought: my trust in God is greater than my fear of the outer world, and in God and the universe, how you want to call it. And I always said, my trust in you is greater than my fear of this outer world. And no matter how much fear I feel right now, my trust will always be greater. And every time on this many journeys, I was always tested. And this one scenario, this one story is one time in the first days on the island, I needed obviously a new place to stay because I couldn't, sleep on the beach every day. It was really sunny there, but you can sleep there and live there. So I needed to find a new place, and I found a new place. And to get there, it's like because it's an island and it's made out of a volcano, so it's like one big volcano island. So the place where I wanted to be is like on the volcano, so you have to go like up. And there's one bus route that is only driving one time per day or one time or every 4 or 5 hours. So I went up to on foot as much as possible. And there was this one place, I even got the videos of it. There's this one place where you have a bridge that you have to cross, and I needed to get on the other side, but the bus is not driving anymore, so I have to cross the bridge. And the bridge, and I have these videos. The bridge is not like this big bridge where you can easily go, but it's like just like a small bridge where cars are just going down, and you have to jump on the ceiling and to go, and it's like literally just 2 foot as 2 foot wide that you can step on the bridge, and you have to go all over this bridge, and on the other side of the bridge are 1,000 meters into depth. So you have on the one side the road that you can't go on, and then you have the small passage of like above, going above this bridge where you can barely stand, and then on the other side you have 1,000 meters into literal depth. And one of my biggest fears is the fear of height. So I have this this was so funny. I'm on this edge of the bridge and I'm looking to my left, and I have videos of that. I look to my left. This is where the airport will go. So this is quitting and just going to the airport. I'm not doing this. I'm just dying if I go this, or I go to this, and this is maybe a new place where I can stay and then continue my journey on this expedition. But to get to this place, I need to cross the bridge. So I have to overcome my fear. And for I think 30 minutes, I was just there thinking to myself, no, yes, no, yes, because it's like one of my biggest fears. And this, I already knew in that moment, this is what I have to overcome. So it was not by coincidence, also not by coincidence that I got this situation, but it was a test of if my trust is truly greater than my fear, and if I'm ready to overcome my fears, because this is just the first of many fears that I had to overcome on my journey. And I knew in this moment, okay, this is the first step of many steps, and I'm really ready to go this further. But I also thought I already came so far on this way. I can't go now back. But on the no, this thing. And then I asked for a sign. And then out of nothing, coincidentally, a little boy, like 14 years old, is coming with his backpack from school or something like that. And he's walking past by me. He's jumping on the bridge like it's nothing and just walking there like it's nothing. So in this moment I realized, because I saw documentaries about an Indian where they live in the mountains, that the people there, they don't have security sires when they go climbing, when they work every day, because they're so comfortable with that. They every day in this big heights, they don't even think of that. And I'm panicking, crossing this bridge, and then I'm seeing this little 14-year-old boy coming from school and crossing that bridge like it's nothing, because he's living there and he gets used to it. And I thinking to myself, that's the sign that I have to. If he can do it, then I can also do it. And then I'm jumping on this bridge. I'm making a video about, okay, this is maybe the last video ever. And then I'm crossing slowly the bridge, deeply breathing. And then I'm crossing the bridge, and this was one of many fears where it showed that my trust is truly greater than my fear of the outer world. But again, like this coincidence that first gotten me in the situation of testing me, where it again shows that life is testing us, and then giving me that life, that the universe is giving me that sign that I'm on the right path by giving me that coincidentally in that moment he's crossing me and jumping and showing me like this like a sign of how to do it, what I should do, to just trust, to let not think about it, but just trust and be confident with that. And the funny thing is, after I lived there for a couple of weeks, um, in that area of the volcano, you really get used to it at some point. So at some point, I went, also weeks later, I went hiking into the mountains, and I had many situations because it's all the time where you don't have real passengers there, so you all the time have to jump on the bridge, and it's really scary. But if you do this couple times, you get really used to it, and then at some it's funny because at some point you don't even think about it, and then it's funny. Then you're just dancing on the bridge, but you have like on the other side you have 1,000 meters of death, but you don't you feel safe, you know. And it's crazy, but it's you get comfortable with that, like, especially if you see all the people around you also doing this.
Yeah, it's insane. I thought my recording just stopped for a second, but that's just that's
But it's again this
insane.
trusting that I had many of those story on the island and also in Egypt. In Egypt, also even more fears because this is again military zones and this is another kind of fear and a lot of dangerous fears. Like fear, like some fears are like comfortable fears. Like if you're going outside and talking to people, these are like anxiety fears that I also had to overcome also there. But then there are also like real dangerous fears, like animals, like in the dark, like of heights, like where you literally can die. So you have to be like, I always thought of Spartans or like Navy SEALs, like we described in the last episode. I always thought about like they also have no fear, and because I also described in my new video, it's not about not having fear, as it's not about not being afraid, but doing it anyways, even if you're afraid. And a lot of those soldiers, they are afraid, but they still do it because they have the mentality, my body is afraid, but I'm not my body, I'm the consciousness, and I still do it. And then they go through it, and then they learn how to relax the body, to say, hey, stay calm, stay concentrated. And this is where all those fears, fear of the dark, fear of heights, fear of rejection, fear of like wild animals, fear of getting shot in military zones, like all kind of fears, where I had to overcome them by facing them. And every time I'm in this situation, I see my body is panicking, but I'm relaxing my body and saying, my trust is greater than my fear, relaxing, relax. And then going into it, and getting more and more relaxed. So yeah, this is again showing trust is way important than fear. Always trust.
Yeah, the trust, the faith. And it's funny how the perspective of like native person is completely different from your
Yeah,
perspective. It's just like he's done it so many times where he just doesn't even think about it, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, okay, here's your sign. And those
yeah,
signs happen all the time. Like I was at I went to this anime convention with one of my buddies. It was probably the last time I end up going. I might go one more year. We'll see. It's not it's part of me, but it's also not part of me. But like I was just out, I was walking back from the car, and I was like, I should start running. Like I should run back to the expo. And then like it's middle of the night, nobody else is out there. I didn't see anybody for miles. And then not 2 seconds later, a runner just passes by me, and I was like, all right, well, I guess we're running now. I didn't even want to run, but it's just like those little signs that just happen. Like
yeah,
even just the other day, one of my cameraman was a little nervous in certain regards, like his thoughts just weren't working out the correct way, and then like this guy in this wheelchair just like zooms by him, and apparently he knew the guy, and he just starts talking Turkish with him, and I'm like, it's just crazy to see those things. But like with your experience out on that island, so you felt called to the island and you ended up staying out there and being a part of that island for a certain time until you started to feel
yeah,
called to somewhere else then? Is that kind of how you finally was like, all right, I
yeah.
learned what I need to learn here and then I'll move on to this other new place?
It's where it's go as where the exhibition is going because I for myself I moved to that island, so I live there but not like officially. Officially I'm still living here, like from the register, from the taxes, but from the mentality, like if you where it's when you say where is your home and where you work. Like some people are from Italy or they're from Turkey and they say this is my home, this is where family is, and I'm here to work, but this is like where home is. And for me it's the same. Like I work here, but for me this is home. Where there's where my family are. They are the people where I bonded, where this is say this is the place. I also describe it in the first episode of my Let's Play podcast that because it's called La Réunion, because they're all cultures, the people there think differently and they have different thoughts and they have different views on the world because they don't see the world as there's you and me, but there's us. And they have this, they're saying that if they cook for 9 people, they have always a seat free for a stranger. And I was often the stranger. And they have literally and metaphorically speaking the doors open because why should someone steal? Because they have this understanding why if you steal from someone, so if you have hunger, then just come to me and I give you barbecue. Or if you have problems, just come to me and I help you. So why should you steal? This is the mentality. And I always often talk with them about it that here in Germany, the people have more, like bigger cars, bigger houses, but they live more in separation. They think more thoughts like, oh, he has a bigger car than me, he has a bigger house than me, and have more like he has more than me has. But there they don't think like that. They have more like sharing more about it's not about how much you have, but sharing, being one, being family. You're always welcome everywhere. I always have this comparison like here in the Western society, also here you have more like this alpha male and beta male, like who is to have more social status. But if you would go as alpha male or beta male there and try to play the social game, they would just laugh as laugh. But they don't would laugh at you, but with you, like in the sense of stop playing roles, pretending someone, and just be yourself. Just sit down and be yourself. So, this family authenticity, and the signings were that for a person who came into my life was the sign to get there because like I said it wasn't mine idea because it was an idea from someone else, and then I got the okay, this is the sign I should go there. But first I got the sign to go to Paris, study there, because on the island I studied like I said, I started with Paris studying there the teachings of Jesus. Then I was in the island studying Buddhism teachings, and then I was in Egypt studying the Quran and the Quran teachings and the ancient Egyptian stuff. Now I'm here working on that stuff, also on this. And then the next exhibition is going to India to study the Vedas because I already read the stuff. Also I always read the stuff before I go to those places, and then I go to those places to see how it aligns with that what I read. For example, I read the Quran, I studied the Quran, and then went to Egypt to see how the people lived there. And they saw that the people not living like it's described in the Quran, or how you would think that they live, but they don't accordingly live to that. And I also studied the Vedas from the Hinduistic teachings, and now I'm curious to go to India and to see how people there live according to this Vedas or how they have this worldview. So this is how I live right now. But I don't, for me, everywhere is my place to like live and to stay and to work. But family and home is for me on the island there, on the um, on the mountain, on the volcano there. There's a town called Silausville. It's like in the volcano. Um, and they're only living farmers, local people there because it's really hard to get there. And this is for me where home is, where family is, and everything else is just working, traveling, and stuff. But it's I try to do it as remote as possible so that I have. I talked with a friend of mine that I have in multiple cities, different locations. That I'm no matter if I'm in Paris, I have a friend who has a music studio there. I can record there, or I can work there. I can sleep there. Then I'm here in Berlin. I have this place. I can stay here. I can record there. Then I'm on the island. I have there someone. I can record there. I can stay there. So I have everywhere places of people that I know where I can stay or I can rent their studios. So I don't have a fixed contract where I have to like be here in this studio for the next 2 years, but it's an open contract where I can every time go out, then go somewhere else for a couple months, then return, and then say, okay, then again pay some money and then use it again because I'm friends with all the people. This is like the what I describe with the mastermind alliance. The more friends you have, the more you can work with them together with their resources and to share resources.
True. I used to always think that when I would ask for things like that, I was being a burden to those people. And I've started
Yeah,
to realize that that's not so much the case. It's like, okay, they do genuinely want to help me. They want to help me become better. Like probably the people on the island. It's just like they left their doors unlocked. They were helping the other people.
it's
They were
so
leaving an open table.
That's so insane. In Germany, that's wirklich so insane. In Germany, there's a saying, take never something from strangers because no one is giving you something for free. This is the mentality here that you grow up with. No one gives you something for free. And in Egypt, it's even harder that no one, and this is really heartbreaking, no one is nice to you just because they're nice to you. They always want something. They always want to sell you something. And in Germany, it's something similar, not that hard like in Egypt, but in Germany also, no one is really nice to you because of just being nice to you. But on the island, you forget this completely because everyone is nice to you and everyone is inviting you literally into their home. You're a stranger, but they invite you into their home, into their barbecue. They give you all their family, like that 20 children running up to you, playing with you, like you're already part of the family. And it's so insane. They share literally everything with you and they welcome you because they have this view that there is no separation. Like there is no you and me, but we are all family. So if I go to Egypt or to America or to whatever I go, the people there are also my family. So everyone is family. So everyone is my friend. And if you go to this bar, what you described, the person, the stranger is also your friend. So this is completely different view of the world, and this is what I learned there mostly. What I was my calling, because for me it was the same that it was really hard to accept things. There, I learned to accept things, to start, okay, I don't have to do everything by myself. I can be part of something.
Yeah, I've come to that realization too. Like, well, the friend that I was telling you about that I was hiking with today, she was asking me, she's like, "You truly love anybody?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm like, I love everybody as if like I love myself. Like I love everybody the same." She's like, "You don't love your parents or other people more." I'm like, not really. Like, I mean, everybody, like, we're all the same. Like, we're all coming together, so I might as well love everybody equally. It's, because it is a concept that I don't think many people understand. It's kind of like how like, Jesus just loved everybody. He just did the best that he could. He was just a ray of light. And I'm like, if that's who he was, like, why not kind of try to live in his image in a sense? Because yeah, understanding that connection with other people would be very helpful, and it's something that I've come to work on. And it's tough though because it's like you say everybody's trying to sell you things, and I think everybody is trying to sell something, but it's like you still have to make a living. Like you still have to be able to bring in money and live and have a roof over your head and not be homeless type of thing. So there's like a fine line, and it's hard because it's like I don't want to be selling all the time, but it's also like sometimes like that's the only way that people are going to act. Like you and I think we're different. We're like we can take the action and we can do like the things without having like an accountability or having some sort of money in the game. But then again, me also having to leave my company was having that trust and the faith as you did with like crossing over the bridge. So it's kind of tough because it's just like where does that line like where's
Yeah,
that line drawn? Where, how do you make the money to afford the things that you want to afford, but also
yeah,
like you
I
know
describe it also in my study with example of I also even made a video about it, but in German, and then I throw it away because I didn't want to record it again in English. But it's I can tell it right now. This is really interesting because you have this example. I studied there. I also have pictures and videos of that. How I sitting there, and there's a city called the City of Dead, and it's you have to imagine this is just a borough, like a whole district, just dead, like completely. What's up? Just a
no you're good.
completely this is a whole district just dead, like just abandoned places, like not just one or two buildings, but the whole district is abandoned. And the poorest of poorest people live there. And while being there, I observed the place and I thought to myself that it can't be like unfair. So it has to be fair because everything is fair. And then I thought to me how it is fair and tried to what I learned from the Quran to implement into that. And then I had two situations: one of a 30-year-old taxi driver and one of a 6-year-old boy, both in the same situation. And both using both the teachings according to the Quran, to the Jesus, to Hinduistic teachings, to all of it. You have the taxi driver there, and the taxi driver every day he is going on to work, and he, because his economy is fucked and because the society there is fucked, he has to make a living. And now there's two ways how he can make a living. The first way is how most people do that, the most taxi drivers do that, is by living in lack, meaning I have not enough money, my economy is fucked, so I have to in some way sell my soul and to scam the foreigners for to make some more bucks, to make 10 or 12 bucks more. But then you acting against the Quran, because there's describing you should be open to foreigners, especially those who seek wisdom in your country. So people, especially me, who come there to study the Quran, those are the people you be welcomed. And to scam those people for your own profit would be like Jesus described, for what it's worth to gain the world if you lost your soul on the way. So you basically selling your soul for 10 bucks more. And this is how most people operate there in leg. But this is the one approach how we can do this in the same situation. On the other side, another taxi driver, and I also met those kind of people there, they can be true believers. And those are the people who go to work every day to the taxi driving, and they start the day with praying by being grateful for what they have. They're grateful for the family, for the daughters, for the food, and even if they don't have a lot and a lot of adversity in their country, in their economy, they still have the trust that God, because God is the best provider, will provide for him in some way. Then he's going to work and he's doing his work as best as he can as a taxi driver, because he is important in his way. Every customer that he has, no matter who, he's treating in service for others in best regard, with the best service, giving them tips to not being scammed, giving them tips to survive. That's how he gets some extra tip from the people, because they see how kind he is. But he don't isn't that kind to get more tip, but to be the best driver, best worker as possible, because he's trusting that God will give him the right opportunity, the right things. And now what will coincidentally happen is that one day an old friend will come to his family to the dinner, and then he will tell him that because they're old friends and they like meet coincidentally, and then like, oh my god, from childhood, that this one friend, he went to a different country like Paris, and he built a company. Now he has a company, is really rich, and now he's searching for someone in the personal, for a personal manager, and he's not looking for someone who is a lot of have knowledge in this and this, but someone who's trustworthy. And he heard by a lot of the people in the community that this man is a trustworthy man. He's someone who has a pure heart, and this is why he wants to be him in have him in his company as manager. And then the taxi driver accepts, and he becomes the manager. And because he's a kind person, the best person trying to do the best job, he's a great manager. He's a great personal manager. He's treating all his workers right. This is how he work ups and ups. And then 2 years later, he's coming back. He's making a big dinner because he's also now rich. He is having this big dinner with his family. They pray. He is in gratefulness. And the moment he's praying for all that he has, he reviews the last 2 years, and he's realizing what he always had, as what he received. So that he for years, for his whole life, he was a poor taxi driver, but always in belief, always in faith that there will come a solution, and there will come opportunities. And then one day, opportunity came. He took the opportunity, and he took the best out of the opportunity. He harvested, as a harvest, the best of the opportunity. And now he is here and sharing all of his knowledge and his riches with his family and his nephews and all the people around in his community. So this is what the Quran describes, and what the teachings of Jesus describes, how you can both be in the same situation, but the one person is acting out of lack and saying, my fear is greater than my trust, and then I have to do it, and then sell their soul. And the other person is say, no matter what will happen, my trust will stay greater than my fear. No matter how bad it will be, I trust that a solution will come. And then, like Napoleon Hill describes, coincidentally, synchronicity, something will happen. And it describes something similar with the little boy who is 6 years old, and he's a grinder, like a hustler, because they live in this district in the city of dead. And he is like a 50 Cent type of character. So he is a hustler, and 6 years old, and he's thinking, every day he's waking up. He has his mother who is poor and who can't work, and every day he's waking up and is grateful for the opportunities that he has. He's trusting in God, and that God is the best provider, and that opportunities will rise. Now he's he's starting the day. What they do a lot, the children there, they took a lot of broken parts of cycles, and then they try to build their own cycle, like bicycle. How it's called?
Bicycle. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
bicycle. But they don't
Bike.
have a real
Yeah.
bicycle like you have, but it's like made out of garbage, of garbage stuff. But it's still working. So this is what he does. He building for out of trash a bicycle. Now he's driving out of the city because he don't have to be all day long in this district. So he driving into other districts who have more wealth, and he's driving there looking for opportunities. And then there are other children who they form a gang to work together to like providing some kind of services for the foreigners. Then they cooperate with some of the people who have horses, and they say, "Hey, we bring you customers, and then we get a commission for that." And then he's okay, right, cool. And then they because they like 50 Cent, they are open, they're extroverted, they go out and like, hey, 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 they get customers, they got into customers, they get commission. And now instead of all the other children, he is not spending his money on Coca-Cola and KFC like most people there, but he is giving a little bit to the poor, a little bit to his family, and the rest he's keeping by himself to invest it and reinvest in his business, to trust that God will provide to him with more sites where to reinvest the money. And then he's buying with the money, for example, his own like new clothes to get more customers, and then to get a new stand, then recruit more people. And he's building with this guy from the with the horse. They are partners, and now they're doing more and more bigger and bigger things, try different services, but all building on not scamming people, but providing value to people and to building things up. And always every day going to night, gratefulness and trust. Every day waking up and trust and gratefulness, not spending the money like throwing it away, but trusting and reinvesting the money, because it's literally saying in the Quran, as it's describing like I describe it right now. And this is what he does. And then 20 years later, he is a successful entrepreneur, and he's coming back to this district, and he is now an idol for all the children there because he has become a legend of someone like 50 Cent, or what we described last time, one of the people who got out of the hood, because they showed that it's possible to get out of the hood, even no matter how hard it seems, because he had trust and he put his trust in God, and because he went every day out and looked for opportunities. The opportunities have found them. He took the opportunities, and he harvested with his skills, with his dharma, and in this case it's his selling skills, his charisma. He used that to then harvest these opportunities, to then become an entrepreneur, become successful, rich, and then share this wisdom and knowledge again. And this is where I realized that no matter where you come, what the Napoleon Hill describes, the ups and downs are even. So no matter where you start, it's all about what we described last time with the hood, that everyone can get out of the hood. But it's their belief, it's their conceive and believe their problem. It's not their resources, but how they perceive their resources and how they use their resources. That's the problem. So what they don't need is not more resources, but more knowledge of conceiving and believing and using the resources they have. And this is the insane thing. In both cases, the taxi driver, the 30-year-old middle-aged man with whom I had conversations like that, and the 6 years old. In both cases, these are, according to the Quran, how you would get in those situations out of there. And what they describe, the whole Egypt situation, is that the whole world is a test, but especially in Egypt, you see that this is a test of heart. And you see it especially there if you're ready to sell your soul. Also, if you're, what is greater, your trust or your fear? And you see it in those situations where every day you have this. And this taxi driver I spoke to, he also said that he has a lot of days where he has this, where he's God's a believer, but every day he struggles with this temptation to just scam people for a couple bucks more, and it's about this trust or fear, what is greater. And I always told him that the trust is always greater, because you will see it in the long run in his children, because it will reflect on everything. And like Jesus described, the $10 more are not worth it, or the $20 more, like whatever it bucks more, are no more worth it. In the long run, if you trust, it will be more worth it.
Yeah, having that belief and that trust and the unseen is what it takes. And it's tough because
Yeah.
I feel like there's gonna be people that would think that like it's it's like, well, it's not as like, and when you say it's not a scam, it's like, well, that probably means that it is a scam. But then it's also like some people will think that what you're doing or selling or providing could be a scam. Like when I was doing sales for the ACH bank, it's like, oh, you're scamming us, and I'm like, dude, this isn't a scam. Like your bank literally gave
Yeah.
us your information. Your customer asked us to reach out, and it's like, it's not a scam. Like this is
Yeah, this
legit,
was
but there's
something
always going to
different.
be people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's always going to be people that think it is, and that's why it's cool to see
But
that
it's
there's
for
those
you, it's
two
for
different
you.
perspectives.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fascinating.
Because, for example,
Yeah.
say you work in sales, and I saw it back then in sales. You can be a bad salesperson who tries with bad and dark rhetoric to manipulate the customer and to okay, you have to need to this, and then you sell you can sell this product to the customer like insurance, and it's really not it's cheaper and you get a less commission, or you sell this insurance, but it's a little bit better, as it's worse for the customer, but you get a bigger commission. And this is again this. What is your trust? Do you want more value for the customer, or do we want a bigger commission? And a lot of people in sales take rather the bigger commission. And this is again an example of trust or fear. And most people, and this is not even trust or fear, this is greed, because it's about good at €1,000 commission or €1,500 commission. So and take the €1,500 commission, and this is greed, and this is what they your actions against, because the customer, especially in insurance, he trusts you with his finances, and you scamming him, not scamming him, but you're giving him a worse product where you get a bigger commission instead of giving him the better product and the better service provider. And this is what I mean, like for yourself. It's the same as if you have a restaurant with everything. Like even as a YouTuber or as a content creator, do you make content with the intention? I don't care what content it is, as long as it goes viral. Or do I want to provide great content that has value for for my audience and goes viral?
Exactly. Yeah, and finding the balance between both of those. Because like I've posted videos on the anime channel, and like so when it gets 2,000 views, I'm like, okay, this is incredible. And then I'm also
Yeah.
like, but if it gets 100 views, I'm like, that's also incredible because 100 people decided to listen to it. Like having both aspects, I think, is incredibly useful for doing YouTube content. It's also just cool to see how two people can have be in the exact same situation and walk away with two different completely like events where one is like, all right, I'm going to start scamming people, and the other person's like, well, no, I'm going to pray, I'm going to be grateful, I'm going to have that trust, I'm going to have that faith, and I'm going to believe that things are going to work out, and the coincidences will just show up out of the blue when they need to, type of thing.
For me, it's every
So
day. It's still for example, right now it's for me also. I described it in in the first episode of my Let's Play podcast. Also, that I could go around and as every day, for example, now go in the street and have thoughts like fear and lack. Like I don't have the views that I have right now that I want. I don't have the subscriber amount that I have. But then I would live in fear and in lack again. And then I would define myself by my views, saying, okay, I react to that, and because I have so much views, this is my value. But I'm not defined by my amount of views and amount of subscribers, but I am concerned. I'm more focused on my internal self, the evolving, and then I see in my outer world more and more the how the outer world is aligning with my inner world. So it's the process of trust. And right now it's also very hard because it's it's the same situation because it was the same time like I was in Paris last year to have the studies, and I have again the same situation, but it's a different kind. Now it's not real dangers in the outer world, but now it's internal here in the digital world of producing content. And now it's the not struggle but the pressure of producing great content and to reach out to this audience. And I've sometimes, even the last days, these thoughts of, can I even make it? If I'm yeah, am I good enough to be someone who people even want to see? Because other people, they post one video, they have instantly 100 views, 100K views on each video as minimum, and I can get barely couple views on each video. And this is where self-doubt comes. But again, like last year, my trust is greater than my fear.
exactly. And like I look at it from the perspective, I'm like, I don't know what those people were doing maybe a decade or 5 years beforehand. Like
Yes.
they very well could have been making content on other channels like I've been doing, and then they just are like, okay, this is what I came up with, and they don't ever always tell that story. Like some do, I think some don't, but it's like you got to test it and try it out quite a bit. Because like I was doing handstands at the gym the other day with a couple of friends. Like I didn't even know them. I just got back from the speaking engagement. They were doing handstands down the track, and I was like, hey, can I join you guys? They're like, yeah, that's cool. And I just get on and I start doing the handstands. They're like, you can do handstands? I was like, yeah. But they don't see the 5 years of work that I did practicing to do hand balancing and
Uh,
handstands before then. They just see the finished product. So that's why when I do see these videos that do go viral, and one of my buddies sent me over a video too from this girl that had like posted two videos or something like that. And you got a video that got like 1.25 million views, and it was just a talking head. Like it wasn't anything
Yeah.
magical or different, but it was just a talking head about I think how she left her job or something like that. I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly the title, but it was just like there's something that it hit well. And then I was talking with guys at the gym the other day, and one of the guys he jumped like up like an 8 foot block or something like that. Like he stacked it, just dropped like jumped up, and I think he got like 13 million views or something like that on TikTok. But it's just like you have one viral video and you're not really creating an audience from that. Like you
No.
just it's temporary. Like it's like can you capitalize on that audience? How do you get the viewers to come back? We want to have the viewers come back more and more and more. It's not just for them to watch one video, it's for them to binge watch all of my videos type of thing. So that's why like when I do have that self-doubt set into my head, and my cameraman kind of helped me out with this the other day too. It's like when I had that one video do very well, I was like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. Like my next video is gonna do very well. And then like the next video, I was like, okay, this didn't do as well. I was like, I could take that personally and be like, well, that's just
Yeah.
a dig on my
Exactly.
character. But using like the detachment, and I think that's why having like a faceless channel where it like wasn't my face on the screen helped me realize like, hey, the views are they're not a discrimination against me or anything like that. They're just views. Like they're just numbers on a screen. Like they're just pixels. Like I can kind of control that by putting more energy and more effort into the video itself and having a good idea and creating something that's so irresistible that people can't stop but click on the video. And then once they do click on the video, it's like, okay, boom, we got him hooked. Like Ryan Trahan's a prime example. Without he did the penny series, like he just has a very good idea. And I think marketing and YouTube videos are similar. Like whenever we look at ads and when we click on ads, like they're doing a magic naming formula. So they're being able to name the ad or the video in a specific way that's targeting the exact person that they want to. And then that person clicks on the video, they decide to watch through the video to have the payoff at the end. And the more we do that, the longer people will want to watch the videos. It's a matter of creating the title in the way that will convey the most amount of value for the direct audience and the person that we're wanting to talk to. So I found that to be useful, but it's just like having that detachment from the views and the outcome itself, and me just focusing on the input and being like, okay, did I give everything that I could for this video? Yes. Did I put as much effort as I possibly could into the thumbnail? Yes. Did I improve something from the last video? Yes. If I did those three things, then I'm on my way to making better videos each and every single day. And yeah, I will get to that 100,000 mark and along with yourself and like
Yeah.
having conversations like this because I think everything is interconnected, kind of as we've talked about today too, is like everything's like it all comes together. Having that faith, having that trust, and realizing like there is always going to be self doubt, especially with content creation. It's probably one
Yeah.
of the most
No.
stressful jobs that anybody could ever do. But it's like I've had months when I was doing sales where like I was worried that like I wasn't going to have the money,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's just like I get this super big deal. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I just had the faith that things would just kind of magically work out and the trust would happen, and it just does. Like it's just how it works. And my belief is that YouTube will do the same thing. Like as long as I
No.
stay consistent and I keep posting and posting and posting, then the right thing will pay off. Because like for the anime shorts channel that I've been doing, or the anime channel that I've been doing, like I just post shorts every single day. I'm doing it for 90 days. I probably will continue to do it, and I've got like 657 subs or something like that, and over half a million views from doing that over just like not even 90 days quite yet, but just doing shorts consistently every single day using AI for one of the things. So like I use AI to write, I use ChatGPT to write the script, and then I use a 11.io or something like that to
Yeah.
record the
Yeah. Yeah.
voiceover,
Level live.
and then I just do like the visuals on screen, and I can get 7 shorts out. And I timed myself the other day in about 30 minutes or so, and they some get 1,000 views, some get 10,000 views. Like I haven't been able to. I think one got like 15,000 views or something like that. But like other than that, they don't go past that range as of right now. But I'm also like I'm just building up an audience, getting the practice, getting the repetition in, and
Yeah.
putting the reps in. Kind of like going to the gym. Like I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna lift the curls. I'm gonna lift the weights until I can do that. And I used to have the perception of like I have I'm just gonna get one viral video. But if I get one viral video, what am I gonna do? Like at that point in time, then like how do I know how to build an audience? Like are
Yeah.
they gonna want to come back and watch that next video? Because if I just get one like out of the blue, it's like, okay, this is good. Like I can use this as like a research or like a case study. How do I do that again and again and again and again? As I do that, then it starts to become a whole lot easier to be able to create that content. Because I've had like a video on TikTok that got half a million views, and that did decently well. One of the AI channels that I did that got 14,000 views or so. I think I might have been. No, I think I was showing that to Tibbo the other day. But like having something like that where it's just like you post a video, forget about it. And that's the weird part. Whenever I forget about the videos and I don't worry about it, I'm just like, I just put it up there. Whatever happens, happens. That's typically when it does
Yeah.
really, really well. When I'm trying to get it to do well, that's when it just like
Yeah.
it does well. It just doesn't do as well as like I want it to do type of thing. So with YouTube content, I think it's just trial and error and providing value. And like I like the videos that you had, like when you're just staying out like in the middle of like the land or something like that, and you had the mountains behind you. Like I enjoy
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
something that
insane.
enjoy seeing. And as like it sounds like you already know your audience. Me, I'm still trying to figure out my exact audience, which is the tough part. But like another coincidence, like my cameraman, he was able to help me out and be like, hey, yeah, this is areas that you can improve, or like these are things that you can do better. And then he brings in his friend because his friend wants to see the things that I'm doing. And then his mind is blown because he sees like we were driving back to one of the parks where we parked and filmed the other day, and there's just this pretty girl that was walking by. And I'm like, I'm gonna talk to her. Didn't think anything of it. I just parked. I just got out of the car like I normally would. Went walk straight up, started talking with her. The dude's mind was like blown. He's like, "How'd you do that?"
Yeah,
And I'm like,
like a superpower.
exactly. So I'm like, if he was that interested in say that type of thing, I was like, I want to be able to create content along those types of realms where it's more
Yeah.
authentic and it's just like me approaching, but it's also like I feel it feels weird sometimes filming people without their permission, but then it's
Yeah.
also like in Colorado where I'm at, certain states, every state's different. If it's a one party state, you can record without people's permission as long as one person is aware that they're being like recorded, then that's technically legal. And then two, it's just like if there's a long shot or there's a mic being shown, it's kind of hard to have that, but it's also getting used to it. And it's also like, do I want to blur out the faces? Because I've seen other people that do blur out the faces to make it so that's a little bit easier so that like it's not showing their likelihood or likeness, but I'm like, do I really want that to be what my channel's about? But then it's like
Yeah.
there's the authenticity, and it's hard to have authenticity with people when there's like, as you were saying earlier, having that camera in front of their face. So it's just being able to de-escalate the situation, which my cameraman's been able to say I'm good at it. I believe that I'm good at it. Like I just know how to make people feel at ease. So if I can do that more, I think the channel will grow a lot quicker. And then for you, like cutting these clips down into like actionable advices because the things that you're teaching and telling me, I'm like, dude, this is thing that I find incredibly fascinating. I didn't even know that it existed until you told me that. And like, you have clearly a wealth of knowledge around the Quran, certain religions, and other
Yeah.
aspects of those things. So it's like, why not focus primarily on the things that you're incredibly good at? Like, focus
Yeah,
on
but
that.
this is what I meant with the execution of those stuff. And this is where you said, for example, that you're experimenting to find your audience. And for me, it's the same, to finding the audience and especially first finding your voice. And this is what we described in the beginning. Like you can do head talk videos, you can do challenges videos, you can do only shorts, also where scripted shorts, or you can do also podcast videos where you then create these shorts from. So you have so many opportunities that you can go around, and all of those are different executions of the same mind, so from the same source. And this is even back then with this hot head talk videos on the island where I had shitty equipment, so my shitty camera. This is why the quality is so bad, but the execution is still. So this is the cool thing about even my first video on my channel, that even if the quality is so bad, the content is cool. Also still the base content is still great, but the execution is bad. So it's all about finding my voice, and therefore with my voice the audience. And my voice is, do I want to do more challenges videos or more street survey videos like you do it? Because I also want what you're describing with blurring the face or filming. This is why I don't right now doing street service, also because it's cold. But also, this is one of the reasons to figure this more out and to find people who doing these things to do with them together. Because I also wouldn't know how to record it, blurry faces. But I also would like to do this kind of content. So there are different things I would like to do. And this is where right now experimenting to find my voice and then my audience to execute those ideas that I have into the world so that people get it. And what you also described with the YouTube is that it's not just about creating quality videos and marketing those videos, but also promoting the videos. Because I already said this in the last episode, that if you would take the last episode and you would give it to, let's say, 1 million people, and every million people have to watch the whole video. If a million people would, as task, have to watch the whole video, at least 10% or would stay after this and be subscribers or be Troll fans. But their problem is that there isn't a circumstance where 1 million people have to watch the whole video. So, but there is people who would love to see that video, but they don't know that it's existing, and the algorithm
Yep.
is not showing to them. So it's about getting more content out so that the algorithm is finding your audience. This is why sometimes you have videos, old videos where it's described that then blow up because then the algorithm is finding an audience, and then from that a more audience, and then from out of nothing you have more and more subscribers and more views because now the algorithm has found the content you want to do with your audience. This is why I try to right now figure out my content because if you do a lot of different things, the algorithm is confused what to recommend to people.
Yep.
But like I said, in the beginning, it's trying out to finding what I like and then to stick with that style and this with consistent branding, like from the colors. For example, I use the blue and the rosa,
Hmm.
like the divine masculine, divine feminine combination, like this Da Vinci type. So this is a branding. This is like coloring that I also use on the channel as colors. So this is something that I also try to use the same fonts because I found I experimented with different fonts and I found okay this font I like more than this font. This fits to my brand. So evolving over time, and then a more consistent style and editing style comes more and more. And then you're finding what you said you're experimenting. You see okay this goes viral and this goes viral and they all three have this in common. So I should this implement in the next. You implement this and it goes also viral. So now you have the one key of the formula. And this is what Mr. Beast described with being detached from your videos, not getting it personal, because sometimes he made a video where he thought this would be a great video and it sucked and no one watched it and he was like, okay, that's it. Then I analyze it and do the next video and then the next video and then over and over again. And back later it will be the same, but not with like 1,000 views or 2,000 views, but with 100,000 or 500,000 views. So my goal is okay. I make with every video 100,000 to 150,000 views, but I don't get over this 100,000 150,000 view. So what can I do to improve my videos to get over 150,000 views, to like 200 or 300 or 500 views? So it's the same principle of just right now and then later to scale and to improve, and to find your audience and what your audience likes.
Exactly. And I look at it, it's just like, well, let's say God, YouTube, the, let's just say the YouTube guys gave us like 100,000 views or 1 million views. It's like I look at it as like because I do a lot of lifting. It's almost like okay, you go to the gym, lift 500 pounds off the ground. It's like you don't
Yeah,
have that mindset of being able to be like, okay, I can lift. I know what to do with these views. It's almost like okay, you have to work your way up to those views, and
yeah,
that's why I think it is good having that practice and that trial to help you find your voice, along with figuring out how to talk with a camera because dude like when I first started filming like I couldn't talk to a camera out in public. I was like people are gonna think I'm on drugs or something like that. I'm like I'm making a YouTube video like that's it. But like having that confidence and finding the voice of being able to be like okay I'm just talking to a GoPro or a camera right now like today on my run when I was filming, like I was running by people, I was talking to the camera, like I look at people as if like the camera was pretty much like just having a friend there with me. So I was just treating it
yeah,
as if like I was just talking to a friend pretty much. And I think that mental shift is gonna help my channel grow with a lot of views and I think can help yours as well too. Is like it's like we're just talking with one another. It's like you were saying, like the audience just isn't here yet. Like we're
yeah,
here, but the audience isn't here. So I'd say it's the same concept, and being able to understand that in creating videos, I think will help the videos grow a lot more because it is like you know who you're talking to. They just aren't hearing it until you click upload and publish. As soon as you click that, then it becomes in their reality, and it's tough because it's like if people aren't watching your video, and that's why I do like YouTube a lot though, is because once you post that video, you never know what video is gonna go viral or is
mm,
gonna get views. Like the videos that I've been posting on the anime channel for the past 3 years, like when I first started, if I go back to the very first video, I think it was like 100 views or something like that, and now it's like I think up to 1,000 or something like that. If I'm pretty sure, because it just would get like a view or two like every 2 days or something like that. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, we'll just leave it up there. We'll just keep it up there and posted, which I think is why it's good to have like all your videos up there and posted because as you start
no,
to grow your loyal following and your audience, then they'll want to go back and watch all of your videos. Like you're saying, if you have a million people and you get 10% of them, you have 100,000 people that are going to be watching that said video. Yeah, 100,000 people that are going to be watching that video, and you can have true fans out of those
Yeah.
100,000 that would watch every single one of your other videos. And if that's another 10%, then you got 10,000 people watching every single video that you ever post. So I think
Yeah.
it's more just about creating true loyal fans that want to come back and watch your videos, and they watch it because of you. They don't. I don't
Right.
because like so. There's a guy Dry Creek Ranger School. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a cowboy with a super long beard. All he does is he just does talking head videos. He's probably in his 60s now, but like the wisdom and the things that he talks about, it's just it's absolutely incredible. And he was talking today too about like how his fear is heights. And then when you told me that your fear
Yeah.
was heights, I was like, hey, another coincidence. But it's just like seeing that and listening to his videos, and he gets 500,000 views like on most of his videos. Some of them only get 43,000 views or something like that. But it's just like that's just a sub part of what he does on his daily everyday life. So I
Yeah.
think it's just a matter of like YouTube is it's great because its longevity is there and it's always going to be around. At least that's my hope. But it's like there's also got to be other ways that you have to acquire other customers or have to acquire other people if you are wanting to make a living. But like being having that creative aspect, I think it translates in every realm. So like if you have the creative aspect within like understanding how the Quran works and how people have certain beliefs, it's like, well, how can I have that same belief and translate it over into creating YouTube content or something like that? If you can translate those into the type of content that you're wanting to make, I think it'll go up a lot quicker. And then also just like the thumbnail and the titles are probably the biggest thing that I've been
Yeah.
working on lately. And that's I've been meeting with my cameraman and one of his friends on Friday around that too to try and figure that out. Because if people aren't clicking on the video, like you're saying, if they watched all the way up until this point, that's fantastic. How many people are going to do that in the beginning? Slim to none. Like I think we had some dude that came in here for a brief second. I don't know if you saw him or not. I think he was also in our chat or in
Yeah.
like the group. So like that's cool that he came in. I don't know. I was wondering like, well, what made him leave? Because if we could figure out what made him leave, then it's like, okay, let's just not do that thing for the next time. But then
I
again,
think
he
because
might
not
not be the
part
right
of the
audience.
conversation in this moment. But more like
Probably.
you know. But yeah, I get the point. So but this is the cool thing about this involvement, development and improving with each video, and also with the promotion of each video to getting to the right audience. And the more you improve it, and like I said, you can improve everything. You can improve the thumbnail, you can improve the titles, you can improve the way how you did it, the whole idea. Because like I said, for me, like with the Quran stuff, with Jesus stuff, with, I have psychology and quantum physics. I can also talk about like body language. I also interested I could do a whole channel just about body language and Jonah Bravo, where I just watch videos about people like from movies and just analyze them, because I watched those kind of the videos and I loved them because they had a program where they watched just this, recorded their screen with their face reaction, and they make pause, and then they could like draw on the screen, and they drew the postures, and they said, here you see the eye contact, and you see this and this, I found it interesting, and I'm like, I would like to do this kind of content where I just reacting to movies where I just analyze the body language. I could also do like, you know what I mean? So it's so much knowledge, but you have to see, okay, how it's this execution of this knowledge into what my audience, who is my audience, and what they want to see. Because it's a lot of try and error, and you can each try and error, or you can, for example, do things like market research or keyword research, or studying similar content where you see, okay, people have interest more in this and this. For example, I looked and know a lot of people Google, for example, more people Google have more interest for Bible and for Jesus things than for the Quran and Islam things, because of the audience in America. And in America, there's way more people who are into Jesus and the teachings of Bible. So if you would do more Bible related content, it would get more views than the Quran. But it would not get both wouldn't get that much views than a psychology video or a body language video, because it's already a sub niche. And this is what you said, and this is what I daily affirm, is I don't want a lot of audiences, I want the right audience. And I'm manifesting 100,000, my audience of loyal 100,000 subscribers. So there are 100,000 loyal fans who follow me, no matter, let's say
What you
YouTube is
post,
dead.
what you do.
Yeah, YouTube is dead. No one is watching YouTube anymore. They're still following me on Twitter, on no Instagram, on TikTok, or a new platform that is then rising, but is the new YouTube. They will then search, okay, Saint Simon. Okay, they find me. Okay, cool, because they're following you as a person. And this is what I want, this 100,000 of loyal fans. And everything above that is just like people who watch your content. It's cool for the ad revenue, but those 100,000 people, this is what you want. Because with 100,000 I want to do movies. This is actually what I want to do, not like YouTube videos. This is more to practice. And if I do a movie and I sell the movie for $10 a DVD, and I have 100,000 of loyal fans who would buy the movie, so I would 100,000 people who buy a DVD for $10. It's already more than a million. So you know what I mean? So this is the value of if you have an audience who like your product, like your character, and then you're producing courses, digital product, physical product, services, or you're a feature guest on some podcast or some interview. People watch it, and people, for example, someone has a podcast, and he is making 10,000 to 20,000 views on each video, on average, and then on the episode where you in the episode, he's making 100,000 views because you in the episode and all of your subscribers are coming there and watching the video. So this is what I want truly have. What you just said, but why I don't want to do a faceless channel because I want to build this personal brand of me and
Exactly.
this loyal
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Because people, I think faceless channels can work. Like there's gaming channels that I like. I personally like gaming channels that are
Yeah,
faceless. There are a
yeah,
few
obviously.
exceptions to the rule, but that's just something that I've always enjoyed. Like it's just I just like that type of content. But like when I'm watching people interact or how to have confidence or like other realms of being able to create the wealth, and that's why it's like having an email list or having like your own website or some other type of way of being able to acquire that information. Because let's say YouTube, TikTok, every social media was like, hey, we're shutting everything down. That's you pretty much lose 10 years, 15, 20 years, however long you've been doing that business just in the blink of a hat if you don't have a backup plan, which I've never thought that that was a smart thing to do. But 100,000,
On the
is
other
great.
side, but on the other side, you have always to remember that it's the skills you acquire on the journey. So this is
True.
what a lot of what we used always to say in sales that it's we could anytime leave the company, go to any other company, and we will be kings in the other companies because we had so much advanced sales techniques and like charismatic principles that most people don't even teach in their companies. That with these kind of knowledge and skills, you can go to any company and do anything. And there were new people who worked in sales, and then they gone to Mercedes, and then they worked at there in the companies, and because they had so much skills and vitamin B that they get instantly the job. And this is what, if you once understand how to produce great quality content, how to create this aspect of designing, also fonts design, then cut and edit, performing in front of a camera, performing in general, being authentic, having the confidence to speak to like outdoor to people. This is like a list of different skills of like 10 or 20 skills to produce a great quality video. And these 20 skills you can always use, no matter even in a post-apocalyptic, okay, no post-apocalyptic scene, but even then you could use marketing and psychology aspect and confidence and other things. But I mean, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on X, it doesn't matter because once you understand the principles, you just apply them on different platforms and see, okay, how these platforms work, and then you apply it to this. Also, you change it a little bit, but the foundation skills are always there, and you can always, if you, for example, lose your whole business, you can go to any content creator and work as an editor or work as how it's called, a manager who is giving them feedback, who say you can improve this because you have so much knowledge already and you have almost so many skills. And this is where I see the value in putting all your focus on content creation in the modern days because it has so much. And this is what all the people describing with learning how to edit reels and how to edit short form content to understand how psychology and market works and how sales works, because this is the skills that will have always in the next like 10, 20 years such much impact that you can use for so many things, because like I said, it's not one skill or two skills, but it's a whole skill set. Even sailing, also selling is not just selling, but it's like body language, psychology understanding, different types of people understanding. It's so much skills that goes into this. And once you understand this skill set, you can go literally anywhere and be anywhere, be a leader, be a manager, something.
Exactly. That's why I've always invested more in skills than things. Like
Yeah,
I'd rather invest in knowledge and acquiring those skills because that's not anything. Nobody can take that away. Nobody can
yeah,
take away my ability to sell. Nobody can take away my ability to create. Nobody can take away my ability to edit. Like nobody can take away my ability to communicate. And that's why like it's funny because like if I hadn't proved to myself that I could sell as the way that I did, I'd probably be more worried about going out and like doing YouTube and creating podcasts and like doing these things. But after seeing what I could do monetarily wise, I was like, if shit hits the fan and things go south, like in a year, it's just like I'll just go out and I'll sell
yeah,
some things, and then I'll try again. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's not that hard, but it is true. It's a lot of micro skills that since I see myself every single day, I don't see the improvements or the skills or the
Yeah.
steps that I take every single day. So having an outside source like yourself or my cameraman or other friends of mine is like, you're really good at this, and I'm like, really? Like I never thought about it. It's kind of like, let's say you don't see a family member for months or whatever it is, and then you come back home from college, and like I'd see my sisters or something like that, and they'd be like, I'm like, you guys are like, did you lose weight? Like what happened? Or like you see a friend after a long time, and it's like, dude, last time I saw you, were like 300 pounds, and now you're like a buck 50 or something like that, and it's like we just don't see those things from ourselves because we see ourselves every single day. I wish there was a way to be more definitive of around that progress, and that's why I like recording videos every single day because then I can go back and be like, okay, this is where I was at. Like this is where I was at mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever it may be, and this is where I'm at now, and like this is the progress that I made, and what did I do within that time frame to be able to get to that point. But yeah, content is it's tough, dude, but
What
it
what
takes time.
what you just
But
described with the cameraman, this is interesting because often if I talk with like a friend of mine who is a coach in psychology and in a child healing, and me and another friend, we always used to say to him that he has already more knowledge than most coaches. So his knowledge base is already way more than the most coaches on the market. But his problem is not his knowledge, but his ability to market it because other people have less, but they are able to market it. And it's funny because I always tell him that he's not seeing it because he's chilling only with me and with people like-minded people. But for outside people, if he would see it from this perspective, and for you, for example, what the same is with the 14-year-old boy from the island. For you, it's nothing to go to this girl and to talk to her or to go to those people. But for other people, this is a superpower, and for they're like, oh man, I wish I had this. Like, you know what I mean? And this is sometimes the insane thing if you look at yourself from a different perspective and think to yourself, you have problems, but from the perspective of someone else, you're like, oh man, I wish that I would be in his situation with his equipment, his knowledge, his skills, and his possibilities. That would be the dream, you know? And this is the insane thing. This is why I said also why I'm so grateful for the equipment, for having the time, for having this possibility to express myself and to work this out, even if I have sometimes self-doubt and fear, but still I'm more trust and grateful for having the opportunity, for having the skill set and the courage, because other people dream of having this kind of equipment and dreaming of having this kind of courage to even start and then continue and to move on and to improve with each time, or having the skill to speak English fluent or to be to express yourself in some way or having kind of knowledge. Because some people they're 16 years old, they want to do gameplay videos, but they have nothing to tell. They have no life experience, so they have nothing interesting to explain to tell about, no stories to tell. And this is something that you also can be grateful for, that you have all the skills, this knowledge, the stories that you can share. So, like I said, from a different perspective, then we see sometimes what we have, what we don't see when we every day on this in our life.
exactly. And it's more of been like, well, how do I teach somebody to do this? That's more been my
Yeah,
question. And then I have to remind myself, well, the how's just going to take care of itself. So it's like, what do I have to do to be able to teach them these types of things? And that's something that I was working on it this morning. I was trying to figure out like what, because like how do you track that type of thing? Like how do you track like, okay, let's say I'm coaching somebody to be able to approach the girl or to do content creation or something like that. It's like, well, how do I track that? Like how can I make that a measurable goal? And I was trying to
yeah,
figure that out. But yeah, having that outside perspective helps out a lot. Because yeah, it is. I'm like that 14-year-old boy that's just crossing the bridge without any thought in the world, and then
yeah,
you're over here in the background, like watching me, like, oh, okay. But that's where like the beliefs are broken of like, oh, this is easier for me to go do. And that those are the things that I enjoy doing a lot is breaking beliefs that people once believed to be true. Like if I can just go up and start a conversation with somebody, like no thought, no concern,
Uh,
no like worry. Because even after I went up and talked with her, I was like, "Here, guys, watch this too." And there's like a little old lady that was just walking down the path, and I just walk up, I lay down on the ground in front of her, don't say anything, don't look at her. I get back up and I walk back over to them. And they're like, "What was that for?" I was like, why not? Like, there's no rules that say it says I can't do that. Plus, that helps to increase my level of consciousness as well.
uh,
As we were talking about earlier, it helps me get out of my mental mindset of like worrying what everybody else is thinking, which helps me then create better content and hopefully inspire somebody else to do the same thing. But yeah, it's a matter of coaching and teaching people, and that's the thing that I've been trying to figure out how to do over these past couple of days. Because once I know how to sell it, I have some guinea pigs that I can use. I don't know if guinea pigs is the best word, but I was watching a lot of movies that had guinea pigs, so that was something that I was kind of considering. But it's like I need test subjects to be able to prove that like, hey, this is valuable and I can make an income off of it, and then I can also make content around it, so I'm giving out free value to the people as well. And then if they want to come out and learn how to say approach people on the street like I do, or be able to talk with the girls, or be better at networking, or whatever it may be, because it's like we can do this online, no problem. I think that's how people make friends nowadays. Is like you just go online, you go in Discord, Facebook groups, and you talk with people,
yeah.
and nobody thinks that's weird. But it's like you approach somebody on the street and you start having a conversation like you would on Discord, and it's like, what's going on right now? And so it's like I figure I can do the free content, and if people want to come out like to Colorado, do like a group coaching session or like a one-on-one coaching session with me, where like I take them out, I analyze them,
Well,
I help them understand their body language a little bit better, help them communicate better, help them understand the beliefs that they have in their mind, which then in turn hopefully will help them grow in their level of confidence and their self-belief in their self. Plus that'll help me eat and stay in my apartment and travel out to India with you maybe one day, because I'd like to see some ashrams and be able to meditate and like do a lot more
yeah,
yoga
that's
practice, which would be fantastic. So
I,
that's
I
some goals that I have.
I don't know how it's called. Nepal. Nepal is called there where the mountains is. I think it's called. I heard really great things about this. So this is also really cool in there. That it's also a lot of mountains. For me, mountains is it's for me I like hiking because for me it's like meditating, like fitness. And
Yep.
I always did on the island. What I did most of the time was I took a bunch of LSD and then I went for 8 hours of hiking 2,000 meters up and then 2,000 meters down, 2,000 meters up and then 2,000 meters down. It's insane because it's just these mountains there. And while hiking, you have no goal. Even wrote this in my journal. So I did this hiking tours for 8 hours, and then I come back, and then the next 2 days I just write my insights that I made on my recordings and regenerate my body. And then the third day again LSD, and then again mountains, and this for the next weeks straight. And I already even described it in my journals that I have no goal by going to this mountain. So I sometimes I say I want to see this place or this place because it's something beautiful, but it's not a real goal. So because there are routes you can go, but these routes are infinite, so you can go infinite routes. So there's no really you at your goal. You achieved it. So it's really this principle of the journey is the way. So it's kind of useless of if you think about it that you're just walking hills and then going hills and then hills. But the beauty of the island is that they I think they have more than 300 different terror zones. So I don't know if you know what this means. That means some places there look like South Africa, and some places, insanely, just 30 minutes later, look like you're in Japan. So completely different flowers, completely different trees, like this the white trees in Japan. Then you go further and you're in a desert. Then you go further, you're in an ice zone. Then you go further and you again you have this feeling you have traveled around the world because there are all these different cultures and different then you go somewhere else, then everything is full of Jesus and stuff of Jesus stuff. And then you go somewhere else and this other mountain, there's everything full of Hinduistic stuff and Hinduistic temples. So you have this feeling you're somewhere else every time. And the beauty is that you by hiking and having like LSD, you hiking all the time and you're internally, so you thinking to yourself almost of the time. And this is the where you go into yourself and you have all this insight by just hiking, getting your body to this pressure and getting into yourself to see what is inside of yourself. And I think in India this would be also really fun. to do because this is where the more you get what you described also with the marathons and the less time, the more I think you do this, the more you get comfortable of being out and being out of your comfort zone, like physically but also mentally. And this is what gives you the easiness to speak to people because nothing is really uncomfortable for you. And people who say, for example, if they're in the elevator and say, "Oh, this is an uncomfortable situation," for them it's uncomfortable. For me, it's just silence. I had this one friend we were driven and he'd always tried to say something because he didn't like the silent awkwardness. But I told him like after 10 minutes like we can just be silent. It's not awkward. It's not like you can enjoy the silence. Like just we don't need to talk constantly about something by driving to that place. So if you have this what you say that you mentally and physically go out and comfort zone, then nothing is really uncomfortable for you. And for those people in your group who would go with you to get out of the comfort zone, those are mostly people who never went out mentally and physically, so spent most of the time in front of Discord or in front of their laptop, like me back then as a teenager. And then when they go out for the first time, now it's scary. Now it's like, oh man. And then I have to approach them and then I have to talk to them. Oh man. So, this is, but it's like more and more going out, not just by approaching people, but also going in the mountains, hiking, running a marathon. It's all those different things, going to the gym and lifting that 500 kilogram. And everything, once all of them give you the strength of being in the outer world, being surrounded by the outer world and being comfortable in the outer world.
Exactly. Yeah, and I wouldn't tell somebody like what, be like, yo, dude, like go talk to that baddie or that girl over there like right now, like no quite like just go up and do that. He said he wanted to go talk to like a 10 right away, and I was like, dude, like all right, like really? And it's like this it just doesn't work that way. You have to build up the muscles, and I think hiking has helped me out a lot, like being out in nature. Like you have to do certain things, and it was funny that you said elevators because that brought a different thought, reminded me of a time where like I was like most people like they always face the door in the elevators. So like when I
Yeah.
would go into the elevator, I'd face like I'd walk in and I'd face everybody. Like instead of like facing the elevator, like I'll just like
Yeah.
I'm just gonna turn around. Like maybe it'll make me feel uncomfortable for a brief second, but like it's 2 3 floors that we're going down. Like somebody if they say something and everybody I recall they all did look at me like, what is he doing? And I'm just like, okay. But it's like it gets me out of the comfort zone to be like,
Well,
there are no rules. There's laws in place, but there's no rules. And that's why like it's confusing because like we're talking about how it's like there's certain people that come into our lives because they're just the direct reflection of ourselves in a sense. But
yeah.
it's like so that am I just seeing a past version of myself and I'm trying to help that person out so that they don't have to go through the same struggles and hardships that I am? Or is it that I'm still stuck in that place and I've yet to come out of there?
Well, that's a really interesting question because sometimes I describe it in my studies. I met alternative versions of myself. That's insanely interesting topic. This is quantum level of an such interesting topic. Like every person has an electromagnetic signature. Like imagine just a hipster, then a goth type person who is into death metal. They are on this frequency, and then you have a snobby person who is wearing Ralph Lauren and things like that. This is another frequency. So this is called an electromagnetic signature. Your signature that is your personality. So people who are in a similar electromagnetic signature have a similar character like you. I met a girl and we talked about it, and we have literally anything in common. So we have the same opinions, we listen to the same music, and I told her we are the same radio station, but I'm like radio station 556 and you're 558, for example. So we're not the same, but we're similar. That's why we have similar opinions, we have similar struggles that we go through, we have similar strengths, similar weaknesses, and this is called electromagnetic signature. So sometimes you meet people who have a similar electromagnetic signature, and I met people who are literally alternative versions of myself. So these are people, and there's one or two people in my life, also people that who friends of friends who I met a couple times, and it's so insane. Really, this is like on next level Matrix, where you have this feeling this is a simulation. Those people have one to one the same life circumstances that as I had, the same parents hold, the same struggles, the same everything, but they did. There's one guy. He did. This is really scary. If you every time where I just met him 2 times, and every time it was scary as fuck. because also scary in the positive and the funny matrix way, in the simulation way, because he had in every way the same life as I had, but he made exactly the opposite decision of what I did every time. So every time I stand in front of the decision, what I described last time of I have this, if it would be for me, I would just sitting at home, have a great setup, smoke weed all day long, and just not going out, but not following my vision. But I decided back then to not stay at home but follow this vision. He did the opposite. He did this way. So in every aspect, every decision that I made, he did the opposite. And everything that I thought of, okay, I would like to do this, but I don't think that is morally good. I would like to do this, but I don't think this is a good decision. And I then not decided not do that. He did it. So he is in every aspect the other opposite. So it's insane the amount. And on your questions, how do I would feel? Because for me, it's the same what you described to this person. For me, for him, the same. And he did a Halloween party a couple weeks ago, and I was there, and I thought all the time that I have this self belief that I'm doomed for failure. So no matter what I try, in the end, it will always fail. So no matter what I try, I'm doomed to failure. So some people are can succeed, but no matter what I try, it will not. It will fail in the end. But then I got this belief of myself that it's not true. I'm also worthy of receiving success in every aspect, and that if I put the work in, I get success. And then with examples of my life. And then I also thought that every other person is also worthy of success, and he's also worthy of success. So I'm rooting for everyone. And he's as we went on this, also we were at this Halloween party, and I just observing him, observing how he's living the life that I could live, but I am not living, like the opposite, the other side. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not feeling pity for him, as not misery or not. I think pity is the right word. I don't know how it's called in
I
English,
think
but
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, pity, yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel pity for him, and I also don't feel superior of him. Not like, oh, I did the best choices and he did, and he is like the loser. But I feel like again, la reunion, like family. Like I rooting for him, and he's part of family, and he is also worthy of finding his light and his success. And I'm rooting for his own good, and on his own journey. And this is on your question, what made a difference? Because I can, like I said, say, okay, here's a past version of myself. I need to help him, or I stuck at this point, or I can see, okay, I see it, but I see the same what I see myself, and I see him that he's not doomed for failure, no matter how bad his decision, because he literally made every false decision that I probably had made, but that didn't made. But still, he's still worthy of success and a happy life. So this is how I see it. So if I look at this person, like I said, as what will the universe tell me is how I look at these people who come into my life. Do I feel pity for them or feel I superior of them? And I back then I would have or I feel pity for him or superior of him. But nowadays, because now I have the knowledge, now I don't feel anything of those both, but I feel rooted family. It's those, no, still this rooting for him feeling. But it's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
Dude, I've I don't think I've ever met a person that's the exact identical or opposite of me quite yet. But I
He's
did like
even
my cameraman. Go ahead.
he's even it's a in German it's called Schreiner. As this is a profession where you made from wood things. Also from like the table from wood. And this is
Yeah.
his profession, being a Schreiner. And my last name is Schreiner. Also he was, and this is from quantum physics because it's the same waves, also the same waves of information, but just converted differently. So for me, it's this frequency of Schreiner, but it's in my name, and for him, it's in his profession. In every aspect, we have the same. For example, I have a bag. There's Jordan, also from the Jordan, and he has also a Jordan, but a backpack. So it's also the same frequency, but different expression. And in every field, like with his parents, in every aspect, it's the same for me, but not the same. It's similar, the same frequency, but expressed in a different way. Insane. Okay, no, please.
Dude, that is like those are the things that blow my mind, and those are the things that I would always try to be like. I try to tell people like it would be like the book holding it in front of the face. I'm like, just look at this, and it's just like
Yeah,
I don't see anything. They have their blinders on because my cameraman is he's me from 5 years ago.
Yeah,
He's reading all the same books that I'm reading. He's like doing videography like I started doing. His parents are separated. Like he's in college. He's like this is the prime time. He's not working. Like all he's doing is like just focusing
yeah,
on his studies. Like myself, living at home. He has a friend that wants him to get out of the apartment. His other friend is like me as well too. He's like, I'm giving everything that I need to for this dream. If I get kicked out and I have to be homeless and live in my car, like so be it. And I'm like, dude, I feel you there. So it's like there's certain aspects of me
yeah,
that are there because that was my like I'm like if shit hits the fan, I'm like I'm not gonna go live back at home because that's like me kind of running back to my like safe place. And I'm like
yeah.
I don't want to do that. I'd rather live in my car or have that be the place, and I know it won't come to that. But it's crazy to think like how as soon as I finally made the decision, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go do YouTube content creation, and I'm like, I need a videographer because I had tried finding other videographers before at the gym, and we just didn't connect on like the same wavelength. We were just it was weird. It was very strange.
Uh,
But then like the new guy, like I did a podcast with him too, and like I was walking around campus with him. He's like he already knew Russell Brunson, he knew marketing, he's knew Alex Ramosi. Like he was reading how to win friends and influence people. Like I was telling you, I was like, this dude is me. So I'm like, if I could help him avoid 5 years of struggle and tribulations and help him accelerate his career and his
yeah.
success, like I might
I
as
think the
well do that.
dynamic between you and Tim is something different. This is like your opportunity to boost. I think maybe it's also, like I said, it's again association what you associate with it because only
Mhm.
you can tell. But I think it's what you as you were in his position, the person you would love to have as someone like a mentor or someone who guides you. This is what he gets, like you from your future, you know. So you can be the person you would love to have and give him uh, the booster that you would like to have back then. So that he can skip multiple years of development. So say skip that route, skip that route, skip that. That would be one possibility to,
I could see that it being different from yeah because
especially
we I don't
because
think we've lived the exact life.
especially because he can help you with camera and you helping him by by him being around you, his like future self, and
Hmm.
adapting what I meant with the Spielte teacher by being around someone who has already this knowledge and has this frequency, this vibe, this level of consciousness. He is already gaining the same by just chilling with that. So this is his value also by just doing videos with you and by just observing that energy and that frequency and that electromagnetic signature that you're radiating.
Yeah. So I guess there's certain aspects. So the type of people that we run into, they're either people that may be superior than us or people that we pity, type of thing. And there might be those. There's that's how we kind of can define whether or not that this is why they're in our life versus this is why they aren't, or we're just trying to we need to learn something from this
I
person.
I would more say that we are all teachers on another ones, so that you are a teacher for him and he has something to teach you, like in different aspects. Because every time when you try to, if you meet someone no matter in which circumstances and you feel superior of them, I always describe it with this alpha beta stuff. Like if you go into a party and you go to this party with the attitude I'm smarter than everyone, I have more money than everyone, I am handsome, then you're creating polarity. This means equally physically that there's somewhere another party where someone has more money than you and is more handsome than you, and now it's just a matter of time where you enter this party where you're again thinking, oh, I'm the best guy. You're entering this room and you're like, oh man, the people around me are like, they're all better looking than me, they have more money, they're more successful than me. Now you're feeling insecure. But this feeling of insecurity you created yourself because of your polarity that you created in the first place. But divine masculine, or what they describe as Sigma male, is when you go into the party and you don't feel for anything, not this and not this, but you're cool the way you are because you're in your own story, and other people have their own strengths and weaknesses. Therefore, you don't create polarity, and therefore there can't be another party where other people are more successful than you. There are other people who have maybe more money than you, but have other struggles than you. So they have another different life path and a different story. And everyone is great and has his own story. So this is the how I try to always see it, that I'm not better than anyone, so I don't try to be pity or superior than anyone, and no one is better than me. But everyone has his own story, and I try every time when I meet someone, okay, how if life has brought this person to my life, what is it a sign for me, and how is me being a sign for him? because for him, you probably a teacher to boost him. Because I don't know if you will be friends forever, but I can imagine that you are in a phase of his life where he needs a teacher right now, like not like where you every day teach him, but like a teacher, like in a spiritual sense, that you come into his life, he gets a boost in this phase, and then he is boosting from that space in another space. And for you, it's the cameraman and this different perspective of yourself. So see someone who sees at you from another perspective to then see yourself from his perspective. You know what I mean? That you see
Yeah.
yourself from his eyes, and this is your teacher, like the opportunity.
Yeah, because he's teaching me and I'm teaching him, and we both needed each other for the specific moment that we needed to find each other.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like I wasn't even gonna go to campus that day when I ended up running into him, and then I ended up running into him on
Coincidentally.
campus. Like exactly coincidentally, dude, that's the crazy thing. Like I just love how we don't know so many things, and yet we do. Like we know so much more than we give ourselves credit for. It's
Yeah,
really
it's sometimes really scary because we don't have this knowingness what Dr. Dispenza describes of knowing what will happen. But this is where you have this normal job where you know, okay, I go tomorrow to the job, I do this kind of work, and I get this kind of view. And this is what you described last time in the last episode with the farmers and the hunters. That the hunter, and this
Mhm.
is the beauty. In German, there's an example with the eagle and the I don't know how it's called, but like a fish. And you can be a fish in the sea who just needs to open his mouth and you have eat and then open his mouth, but you don't see the world. Or you can be an eagle and fly through the airs and you can see the whole world. But on the other side, you have to hunt every day. So maybe there are days where you don't have anything to hunt, so you have nothing to eat. And this is this unknowingness, what Dr. Dispenza also describes to you can't say how people things will outwork, but if you have the trust, it will come the way. And this is sometimes the hardest thing to jump into this unknown for most people, especially when they're in a certain situation, like in a relationship, in a friendship, or in a profession, like in their job, and to break out and to jump into this unknown. Because as I started YouTube, I didn't start this YouTube like with now with this goals and this, but just I know like like Napoleon Hill describes, I just know the next step, and I don't know what happens afterward. I just know 100,000 loyal fans, and this is the first step, and the other nine step I don't know.
Which I did want to circle back because I thought about something that you said earlier too
Yeah,
about how you wanted to create certain types of content that were like you wanted to do this type of content, then you wanted to do this type of content, and this type of content, and you wanted to do all different types of content. It's like, well, how to create videos, and it's funny. So like the video, because it's like you're saying, Napoleon Hill is just like I know I'm here and I want to be here, and whatever happens in between here is just kind of gonna naturally transpire. And for the video that I did on screen time, like I didn't know about that at first. Like I was just like, this is just an idea. And then the next video that I'm working on right now is around walking and how walking has like completely transformed my life and how you can have more time to walk. And I was referencing, and I at least with the recording that I ended up doing today, like I was referencing that other video by bringing like you have to bring in the awareness of your screen time and how you're spending your day
yeah,
so you can walk more. So it's almost like one video is leading into the next video, into the next video, into the next video. And I'm wondering if you can do the same thing with your type of content, where it's just like you have one video that talks about like this, and then it's just like, well, then in your next video, it's like you can almost kind of circle it back to like you playing your Let's Play videos, or like you talking about some sort of video within the Quran or whatever topic that you want to cover that day, and almost making it like into like a mini series. So people are like,
yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah,
let
yeah.
me go watch back this video, so then I can watch this next video, and then they start to share, and then it starts to grow into your
Yeah,
100,000 true
for
fans.
the thing is, for people like me who are into if you're really passionate about camera, it's really simple. Just study camera, buy better equipment, buy lenses. Even it's a whole art for itself, but it's camera. If you into editing, okay, this is simple. So just learn editing, different programs. It's again a whole universe for itself, but it's that. But if you do executive production, this is well, producing in general. This is the insane thing, and this is the hardest thing. This is the same problem that Da Vinci had. and people who have the similar character type is that you have too many ideas. This is your problem because what you describe with the series, I have like hundreds of. I want, for example, do a pilot license, like aviator license, and I do want to do it as a sponsorship with some company and do it as a 10 episodes where I get my aviator episodes from the first episode going to the aviator school and to do the registration from the 10th episode where I do my final exam. So this is the mini series, and in each episode you have the same sponsor who's sponsoring my whole life because it costs like 10,000 euros, and this is like the sponsor who's sponsoring the video. And this is one of the ideas, and I have like hundreds of things like that. And this is what I mean. This is the trying what your community is, what they like, what is your style of produce. Because in the long run, I want to have a camera team always following me. One guy just with a drone, one guy like you have it with a GoPro or like with a normal camera, and maybe myself with one camera. And this is my camera team always walking with me and always just filming myself, as filming me
Yep.
24 hours. What I do, and I travel most of the time, and I always take them with me, so they're always part of my budget. So if I travel with them, so they're like part of my hand package. And this is like the long term run. But like I said, I have like in my journals, I have like 10,000 different ideas, but it's this execution what I should start first, in which form, which comes first, because like the aviator stuff I can't do right now. This is more like for next year. You know what I mean? So this is a lot of trying out and to see what is my audience, what they like, what I like, and how what I can create in a consistent stuff. Because sometimes you have a great video, like a transforming video. Let's say you do a challenge, like try to do this and this diet, or I try to do this and this experiment. And this was a great video, but this was just one video. So it's hard to recreate this kind of videos. This is why I had first the idea with head talk videos, because head talk videos, you can just take a topic and do another video and another video and another video. But other things, like, especially with transformation and challenges, you have always to come with something new, and maybe something like I tried lucid dreaming for 30 days has more value, has more viral stuff than I tried Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation for 30 days, or I tried Wim Hof breathing for 30 days. You know what I mean? It's the same concept, but I don't know which of them three will go viral. So, like I said, a lot of experimenting, seeing what I like, what is the expression. This is like the hardest thing, I think, for myself in the beginning. And then with more budget, and with more understanding of how to express myself and what my audience wants, I can then pick from all of those ideas. Okay, this goes first, then this, then this, and this, and this. Now we can take this serious. For example, if we go to India, I want also to interview people. As they are monks. I even wanted to do this in Egypt to to go to these temples and then to make like a podcast episode with a monk. And normally they don't speak to people, but if you speak to them like private and they see, okay, this is a really enlightened person, then they say, okay, I do with you a podcast episode, and then they're like a guest in your podcast episode, and that would be like insane, you know. Like a monk who normally don't talk to people, but for you he's making an exception, and then he's making a podcast episode with you, and that's so cool.
So I can we okay. Let me ask you this. Would you rather let me ask you a question around something or give you an example as to what I would recommend? What would you rather? How would you rather have me
Example,
respond
I
to what
think, or
which
how you
one?
feel it. Example
Uh,
or how you feel it.
Okay. So like one thing when you're talking about the pilots and the flying, I was thinking about it's just like, well, you could get the sponsorship deal, and instead of doing a sponsorship deal, you'd like kind of do like a paid partnership or it's like a free promo. So it's just like,
Yeah,
hey, like I'm building up an audience, like, and it doesn't have to be like a big one. Like you don't have to do hundreds of thousands of views, but it's like, hey, if I can make videos and we do like a 10-part flying series of me being a brand new instructor that comes into your studio or comes into your airport and is able to get flying within 10 lessons or something like that. And from that video, like those videos get 10,000 views or something like that. And we get
yeah,
a percentage of people closing that. Let's say 10% close that. Then you have 1,000 people. Now you have $100,000 of new business coming in
yeah,
from a one $10,000 investment. So, I mean, if you can switch that
yeah,
idea to make it more for them, I think that would be beneficial. Along with the ideas around like the meditation, the Wim Hof breathing, and the lucid dreaming, those are three things that you could probably do all in 1 month. Like you could record all
yeah,
three of those videos in a single month compared to doing it throughout the whole month. And it's also like you never know which one's going to go viral. Like until you post the video and you try that. And that's why like I've had to just be like whatever idea comes to my mind, I have tons of them, but I'm just gonna post this first one because I'm the
Yeah.
exact same way. I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to go, like, I want to have this camera crew following me around, but it's like that's gonna take some time. What I
Yeah,
can do right now is I can go out and I can film this video, I can film this idea, and I can at least post that, and then I can get to the next one. Because like
exactly.
you've listened to Mr. Beast too, where it's like you can think about the idea or the video for months and months and months, but just post that video, just figure it out, and then like iterate on it. And like if that idea didn't work, you can always come back and redo the idea. Like I did that for just a recent video on the anime channel. Like I did a review of Tokyo Ghoul because there's like concepts of Carl Jung, how there's like the shadow and you have to adopt the shadow and accept your shadow and be able to become one. And I did that video 2, 3 years ago, and then I came back and I redid the video just recently with a different spin, a different take, a little bit more information. So I don't think there's ever a time where you have to stop making that video because like your audience and the people that you watch, like they may watch that video once, but once you talk about that topic or that idea, you almost have to you can like keep reiterating it throughout the videos to be like, hey, this is something that I talk about consistently. Because like let's say I start to write a book and I only announce it once, or I start doing coaching and I only announce it once throughout my
Yeah,
videos, people could be watching my videos for half a decade, and they could be like, "Wait, you've written a book? You do coaching?" Like I had no idea because I don't say
yeah,
it within
yeah,
every video. So you have to constantly remind your audience, and that's why I think coming back to old ideas and like doing them better is a good way to do it. Like Mr. Beast, he just redid his Buried Alive. Like
yeah.
he was Buried Alive, one of his most viral videos, and then he just redid that again for his 200 million subscribers account. So I don't think there's like a right way or wrong way to do it because Gary Vee he even talks about like it's better to document over create, and that's why like I want to have like the camera crew following me around all the time, and then I have just a personal editor that just like
Yeah.
edits my daily series into like a vlog that just gets posted and I don't even have to worry about it, and I can just live my day as if I normally would. Because like Rogan even talked about that too. He's like, just live your life as if a camera crew is following you. I was like, well, how about I just hire a camera crew and have them follow me, type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots of different avenues that you could take, and I would take too if I were you. It's just you got to start with that first one, test it, see how it works, and then move on to the next one, or reiterate it and remove it and try again. Like I think that's probably the best thing that I would do if I was in your shoes, because yeah, that's I'd say that's probably the best way to be able to gain at least some sort of
Yeah.
insight and getting closer to the 100,000 fans and followers.
Yeah, this is also what I described, what I had the last days as an idea to get to go more from the head talk videos because I do the topics from the head talk videos more in the podcast episodes and go more into like challenges videos, transformation videos that I wanted to do originally because I have more fun on it, like this challenges and transformation stuff where you have more creativity stuff. For me, also this having a group of people, like a camera team following you constant. This is the dream because then you have like you have a cutter or you have 2 or 3 cutters cutting all the time. You have 2 to 3 camera people following you most of the time. One has a drone, one of GoPro, and then your only concern or what you're doing most of the time is just coming up with.
I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Simon's internet cut out near the end, and we had already been going for 3+ hours. So we could decide to call it there. If you guys want to see more conversations similar to this, just drop a subscribe and a like on the video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.